Welcome back, ladies and gents, to the Summit 2 Southeast Asia by G2A.com. I'm LDOB on the Summit, and it's time for Zephyr. Currently 2-1. Granted, all teams do have a single forfeit win over Arrow, who yesterday, unfortunately, were found implicated in match fixing and have been removed from our tournament. We're not going to replace them at this point, as it's just too late into the group stage, but every team gets a forfeit win, so Zephyr really 1-1, I guess you would say. CsW 3-0, or perhaps 2-0 in terms of real games played, and well, with that said, I'm not alone here. I'm joined by Blaze. Blaze, it's a new Zephyr. They've got X-Freedom, who is 22 in the lobby right now. For some reason, his name's not updating. He's still playing, I think, from Singapore, but will be traveling to Korea later this month to join the rest of the boys for, what is it, KDL Season 4. And they've also got Slick, so a new roster for them.
Yeah, excited to see how that works out there. We've been seeing a little bit of role shuffling and trying to get things in place to make that work there. For those wondering, Purge is taking the coaching and managing role for the team right now, so just kind of playing the back line there and is able to help the teams from an out-of-game perspective. So he did actually stand in for them very recently when X-Freedom was unavailable, but in this case here, it is going to be their full unofficial roster for the time being. And it's going to be an interesting opener for them. Batrider and Viper. That's the one that I wouldn't really see coming out of 6.82. I wouldn't say these guys are the winners of the patch by any stretch. But they do have some merits. I mean, the ability to single people out here. They can create space as well. I mean, Viper has some solo kill potential. Batrider, with the help of one, can do a lot of work. And he can survive pretty well against Ancient Apparition too. So I like the picks. But I'm curious what they would follow it up with. I really feel like they still need a really good backbone carry for Corey.
Yeah, and that was the thing with Zephyr when they first emerged in the Korean scene, was Corey was beast mode, but as of late, he just hasn't been able to shoulder the load himself, and the team has struggled, to put it mildly. Looking a little bit better here so far with their new roster, but, well, the constant, it seems like a merry-go-round of players definitely isn't helping matters, so hopefully they find a lineup and are able to stick with it through the remainder of their stay. I do want to mention coming into this that CSW, they're not just, they haven't just taken 2 big wins in the Summit, or 2 wins, period, but they're actually big wins. They've taken out Execration and MVP Phoenix, 2 teams to me that should probably be ranked in the upper half of the group. Certainly Execration should be up there, and I think even though MVP's looked a little shaky lately, they will find their way to that top 5 or 6 by the time things are said and done. So, yeah, they're off to a powerful start. Zephyr, their one win was over Myth Trust, a very up-and-down team in SEA. Sometimes they're beating the best, sometimes they look a little bit lost, and it's Lakel's +4. So CSW, a bit of a surprise, and there's an interesting storyline here. Slicks, it was actually funny in the lobby. We had, let me see if I can even still show it. We had I Am Slicks, it's not, yeah, I Am Slicks versus I Am Godak. They used to be on Team Immunity together, so there's, I wouldn't say it's a grudge match. I think they're all on good terms, the boys from Australia, but it does make things a little spicy here. And, well, with that said, draft, as you mentioned, well underway. CSW, very strong global pickoff potential, and I think they got a little more meat with this Centaur pick. He gives you some good gank, he gives you something that can scale in the late game, and also is very good against the slows, but Zephyr will buff their draft buff a bit with a nice stun with the Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah, it's really the solo takedown potential that we're looking at right now. Like the Batrider last with the Nether Swap, you can pull people so far out of position. And if you're relying on a really hardcore carry, then they're going to be able to get a lot of value out of that kind of pickoff to start off a fight. Even the Stampede can't save you against a lot of these mechanics here. So it's very nice for them to be able to pick that up for themselves. And it means that if they go for a late game lineup, if they go for a hardcore carry, they just need one good counter pushing hero on top of the Batrider, and they're going to be able to turtle it up to the late game, and I think that's where they'll really kind of shine. I mean, they'll be able to pick off the enemy core when he's alone, so that makes it more difficult to spread the map against him. And yeah, in general, they're going to be feeling pretty good. But Here comes the Wind Ranger pick, and this is an interesting thing. I've talked to Baseskip a little bit about team immunity and just in general Australian ping to SEA, and they say yeah, there's some real difficulty going Australia to Singapore just because in general you get those international lines and it's not the easiest thing. But they say screw ping, we can do it anyways, and Wind Rangers are real testimony to that because the shackle shot is a very positioning reliant thing, and if you cast it in a certain position and then you change your position even slightly, it can make the big difference of whether it latches or not. So I think that it is a very ping dependent tool, but here they say screw ping, we can do it anyways.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as some other abilities. It's not like phase shift where timing is ultra important, but it's more timing sensitive than some others, that's for sure. It is worth mentioning it's 6.82 since we've hardly seen this hero. The latch distance has 50 more. It's from 525 up to 575. Also, wind run duration improved a bit at all levels at 0.25 at the first level, all the way up to a full second at the last one. So she got a slight buff in this patch. Nothing too amazing. She is, in theory, a good hero to put the Chilling Touch on. Very strong, 600 range right clicker, who can generally get in and out of the fray without too much trouble, but Zephyr will go for the flavor, not even du jour, perhaps the flavor of the month. The Ogre McGee with the Venge here. Lots of burst damage, good roam potential, a beefy tank. Something you like to have in the early laning stage. And you look at these CSW supports on the other side. They have high damage output from Chilling Touch, but they are very squishy plays.
Most definitely. I think that if Corey's been practicing, I don't personally know, but if he has been, I think they are in a great position to pick up a Medusa here. They've got the Vengeance Aura, they've got the Bloodlust, that's going to enhance his potential there. They've got the Bat Rider Lasso to really make sure that Stone Gaze is you're going to get the money out of that. I think that that's going to be what they could really benefit from. They could go for a tempo lineup, which is all about just getting huge levels of aggression out early, but I honestly would feel a lot more confident in their potential to take it to the late game with this kind of a draft here. There's not that much push coming out of Can't Say Whips. I mean, we will see some Wind Ranger damage coming out maybe with the ultimate, but in general right now, Can't Say Whips is not set up to siege. They're set up to go late game, and both teams know it. They ban out the Meepo, they ban out the Spectre. These are heroes that can really be prominent in that later stage, the 40-50 minute mark, and we'll have to see what Zephyr go with here. They are going to be showing their hand a little bit earlier than Can't Say Whips, so they do have to kind of predict it a little bit here, but all the same, like I said, I think they have a really good backbone of supports to set this up.
Yeah, if it went late just with these four heroes, I'd probably give... I would say it could go either way, but I'd probably give Zephyr the edge. With the Ogre Magi Venge, any carry gets a lot stronger. Viper at some point just gets too difficult to burst. That's where Centaur can fall off a lot. And, well, this will now be the second in two Summit 2 games that Blitz has gone for the Storm. The last time they went for it, it was up against a heavy 5-man push lineup, and Storm is just useless in those games. It was also against a Skywrath Mage, a support that basically has single-handedly blasted Storm out of the metagame, amongst other changes. But it's a better ganky lineup for them. Very good pickup potential. I would say this Storm Spirit fits better than the last time I saw it. But
Sure.
I do worry a bit for Zephyr that every time I watch them, I'm friends with Blitz, and it just feels like they're trying to shoe in the Storm because... shoehorn the Storm in because he likes to play Storm, but I'm sorry, man, not every game's a Storm game. I think this could be one, though. I think this could be a good game. There's no real lockdown for him aside from Rubik Lift and Shackle Shot, no instant silences. And if he gets a fast Orchid, could actually deal with the Weaver nicely. So as far as Storm games go, this has got to be one of the better ones.
Yeah, I mean, you got to consider the fact that they were coming out of a climate of a metagame where he used to be up against Dooms all the time, used to be up against Skywraths constantly. So just the fact that he's not going to get hard silenced and hard disabled like that, he's going to be in a better position than what we've seen in the past. But I do agree that this is not 100% fully planned out. I mean, like the aspect that you're going up against a Wind Ranger, if you don't have an Orchid against her, she's going to Wind Run and therefore nullify pretty much all the damage that Storm can do against her. And Weaver, much the same way. You need that Orchid to lock her down.
These supports are food for Storm, though. Rubik, you lift him, and then he just continues jumping you anyway, unless he manages to steal the zip. And if you're good, you just pull him as you're zipping in, so he doesn't even get a chance to do that. So, and obviously AA is total food. So I think this could work. But... we'll see. CSW do have some roam potential with this Rubik Ancient Apparition, and if they get ahead, Centaur gets an early blink, then it can swing the other direction. Our Australian friends need a quick pause here. So with that, Blaze, let's run through our lineups real quickly. CSW so far undefeated in the Summit, too. They did not perform very well in Star Ladder SEA, but as well. Well, these are Australian problems, man. Turn on What the Fast. Let's try to, get our proxy service working. Only Australian things. We've got Tootie on the Centaur Warrunner. Godot, a mainstay of Australian Dota for a long time, all the way back to the good old N9 days, will be on the Rubik. That puts Fixers onto the Wind Ranger. K Phoenix, the Tinker Extraordinaire, stuck on a Weaver for now. I think he probably is one of the saddest players in the world after the latest patch, and that does leave Risk as your Ancient Apparition. On the dire side, Team Zephyr, 2-1. Both of these teams, one of those wins is in fact a forfeit win over Arrow, who have been kicked out of the Summit 2 for match fixing allegations. But we've got Corey on the Viper. Blitz will be playing his signature Storm. X-Freedom, for some reason, called 22 in-game. He tried to change it on the Ogre, and that puts ASN still in that support role as the Venge, and Slicks looks like he'll be your offlaner here, handling the Bat Rider.
Yeah. So I'm really curious how Corey's going to build this game. I think there's I mean, obviously, like, you're going to see the Batrider build his standard Blink Force. You're going to see Blitz go for the Orchid if he can, and definitely should. But Corey here is the question for me, because he's got the enhancers. He's got these ways to go for a late game Viper, and we've seen a variety of builds come out of that. I've seen Mjolnir builds. I've seen crit builds. Obviously, the Butterfly will be really strong here. I'm really curious to see exactly what he's going to be able to build up that will make his mark on the map. Could still see kind of the standard utility-based mechanism and Aghanim Scepter and that kind of thing, and could just see the tempo brought from that combination of items. But it really comes down to the progression after that, where the right-click come from. That will determine how they have the chance to scale into the mid to late game, at least from my perspective anyways. But for now, obviously, they want to put a little bit more early tempo and pressure out, because obviously the Ancient Apparition is going to stifle push and stuff like that with against the mechanism later with the Ice Blast. So for now, I really think it's just about him maybe picking up an early hand of Midas and ramping up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that used to be the Corey way, man. We used to see him on like that Slark of his, just always getting an early Midas, play Anglade for super late game, and I think part of it is just that the other teams at SEA, well, mostly in Korea, and now as Zephyr is exposed more to the rest of SEA, it feels the same, that they're just better at dealing with the greed. So, well, that's where the rest of your team has to step up. If Corey's going to go for Midas, Blitz has to have a decent start mid lane. That's where ASN and X-Freedom look to get involved early, maybe roam on that lane. Wind Ranger is definitely killable for those two supports. They've got a actually triple stun once Blitz hits somewhere between level 3 to 5, depending on when he wants to level up the Electric Vortex. They can kill a Wind Ranger, but it's that initial getting a range that's hard. If she's got the creeps on, if she's got the high ground position, Wind Run ready.
Yeah.
Damn you, Ice Frog, and your name changes.
Exactly. Keep the skill, but change the hero. It throws it all into chaos there. But I think that Windrun is honestly a really survivable hero against Storm Spirit, and it's going to be, even with the chain of stuns, like Smoke Gangs can come through, but I don't think it's going to be guaranteed movement. Like there's a lot of mids you can rotate against. You say a Death Prophet, if she is anywhere off her tower, she's dead. But a Windrunner, I think that there's a lot of potential with the ability to survive, ability to evade auto attacks. And
yeah, she's more survivable. I wouldn't say she's guaranteed to live by any stretch, though. If you chain those stunts correctly, and you pull her when she tries to Windrun, you also have a lot of nuke damage from Storm, which can't be evaded from the Static Remnant. I would say it just depends on the level progression, where the Windrunner's positioning, but I definitely think they can run her down.
I think it also might mean that the Blitz has to put an extra point or two into stun early. Like, obviously, you still want to get one value point overload in Remnant, but I definitely think it's probably going to be a 1-3-1 build for him. I mean, he varies it occasionally, but for the most part, he's pretty consistent about how he runs his Storm. And yeah, we'll see if it's effective enough for now. But really, my question is, when are they going to get around to pressuring the Weaver here? Do they want to maybe make a play down on the bottom lane with a smoke as soon as the Batrider gets Blink and try to go for a 3v1 or a 3v3 against him?
Do they want to go for the Weaver, though? Because I look at this CSW draft, and to me, the glaring weak point, like, you'd like Blitz to snowball, but I'll agree with you that Wind Ranger, not the easiest gang. These supports are that's the low-hanging fruit, man. Yeah. Ancient Apparition with his 295 base move speed, no mobility skills, 2 base armor, 530 health, very killable. Rubik, 0 base armor, 290 move speed, no mobility skills, also killable, and they need levels. Like, they can roam with Chilling Touch, but more likely they're just going to be trying to stack and pull, so If I'm Zephyr, I'm thinking this bottom lane is where I'd like to strike first, assuming CSW do go for defensive tri-lane. There is an option, I suppose, for roaming or dual lanes, but to me, Weaver could be killed, but that's a tough one. You need to have Dust ready, you need to catch him with Sakuchi down, ideally, or stun him during Sakuchi. And, well, we'll see what direction they want to go, Blaze. We're back into it now. Proxy activated. Those Australian cheats now online.
Nice, nice. But yeah, I mostly meant like when are they gonna actually start addressing the Weaver threat? Because he's done an easy kill even early, but at level 6 it becomes very, very difficult. I'm trying to think of when they're gonna be able to collaborate to actually get all of their forces to actually bring him down. Because eventually you do have to address him. I mean, he is the most scalable of the 10 heroes, I believe, even after the base attack time nerf. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for K Phoenix here, and he's gonna have a pretty safe time farming away for the first 10 minutes of the game or so. So I'm trying to think of the timing of when they're going to be active on him, but we'll just have to see. Slicks on this Batrider is one that I haven't had the pleasure of seeing. I've mostly seen him on the mid lane, and the last time we were able to cast Zephyr, Blitz was running a Centaur off lane, but yeah, they're trying to kind of be more resolute in their roles, and with the Storm Spirit here, obviously, they do want Slicks to be performing on that suicide lane.
Yeah, having set roles is very important, though. We've seen some of the teams in the America region in particular. It's like a Stay Free. It's a perfect example. They lose a game, they change their roles. Like at every time, it's. I don't even know if it's rage. I think part of it's just like, let's just try something different. I'm gonna play carry this game. And you at some point, it's like you have to give players a chance to get comfortable, not just with the role, even if they know it, but with the synergy with their teammates. They have to know, okay, this player likes for me to be aggressive on my support. He's ready for the rotations. Okay, he just wants to farm early. And, you know, part of it is just getting into that comfort zone and rhythm. So for Zephyr, I think that's the most important thing, is just pick roles, settle on them, and try your best. And they've got a natural support player in X-Freedom. That's what Aesen's played for most of his competitive career. So I think for the most part, they'll be pretty set there. Maybe they mix up their cores occasionally, but at least we won't see, you know, like Merlini, who's clearly more comfortable in a mid-roll, forced to play a support position.
Sure. So that'll definitely be more consistent than what we've seen. But yeah, right now I think this mid lane is going to be very difficult for Blitz, even with his experience on the Storm. Like, he's only going to be able to get CS with Remnant. He's only got 57 base damage against right now 63 for the level 2 Wind Ranger, and she's just got the better animation, the better base attack time. Like, she's able to just completely control this lane, and it's going to take rotations from supports to actually give Storm Spirit the advantage in this matchup. So we'll see if they do commit to try to bring down the Wind Ranger, or they just let the lane be slightly disadvantageous and Blitz will pick up what he can until 6.
I love this Ogre McGee. 22, or sorry, X-Freedom. Already with the Orb of Venom picked up. Zoning 2D heavily out of the lane. Just a tough, like, honestly, I've been surprised at how even the beefy offlane melee heroes, they just can't stand against the Ogre. From level 1, 6 armor, and a decent nuke. He just trades, and you get an Orb of Venom. It just makes the trading that much easier. Looking at the offlane for the Dire side, level 2 on Slick, so slightly ahead of the Centaur. And also the better comeback hero. That's the one thing I really like for Zephyr out of these lanes. Their offlane will go better as long as they continue to focus on keeping the Centaur out of the lane. And 2D can try for these pulls, but they can even keep him off experience from those if they want with the Ogre for the most part. And that certainly prevent him from getting any kind of gold, which he'll need to get that Blink Dagger.
Yeah, when it comes down to Zephyr's potential to break into mid to late game, it's really going to be about vision and usage of that Batrider. If they can get the jump, if they can get a lasso, if they can get a pull with the Ball Lightning, then they're going to be in really good shape in terms of initiation. But the bottom line is they have to have vision for that. So we'll see the usage of wards in the near future. For now, it's just kind of the standard stuff you'd expect, bottom Maroon and the top lane ward. But yeah, we're going to have to see some more creative stuff as the time goes by. For now, Easton's getting some decent farm, just kind of doing the double pull on the top lane while X-Freedom zones hard. And they do actually get a D ward out at about the half duration on that Observer ward of 2D there. So he'll get some decent experience here, to level 2.5, but nothing to write home about.
Yeah, would like to take a look at the Dire jungle. Have they been stacking for the Batrider? They've started, but they've stacked a camp that already has Mud Golems, so not really ideal. Couldn't get to the big camp in time, and well, Aeson has been getting his own pulls. He stacked this camp before the 1 minute mark, then he pulled the double stacked small camp. So they're doing a decent job on their supports. You compare that to the Radiant supports, pretty much even in terms of levels. A slight lead out on Risk on the Ancient Apparition. But This passive landing stage does favor the Radiant supports overall, just because they are not that strong at the early levels. Their roaming isn't very good, and then on top of that, Blitz is, I wouldn't say getting crushed mid lane. It is a Storm disadvantage matchup, as most matchups tend to be 1v1 mid, but for ranged heroes anyway. But he can try to make up for this later, perhaps. It's for now though, it's going the way of the stand-in Fixers, who's 21-10 to Blitz's 13-1, and those denies matter a lot more now.
Yeah, the reduction there is not static. It is a percent-based reduction, and it makes it very difficult for Storm to hit 6 at the timing he wants. And yeah, right now it is just completely dominant for the Wind Ranger. She is a very early to mid-game type hero. She might not have the potential to really go into the late game as hardcore as some heroes, but I still would actually say that in this patch she's stronger than ever. I mean, the fact that she doesn't have to worry about Chronosphere, Doom, or dual canceling evasion, she can maneuver a lot more, and obviously we already talked about the other buffs that come into play here. I honestly think this hero is extremely underrated in the scene right now, and we'll have to see what obviously this mid player can do with it.
They're gonna find Slick's bottom lane. Could be your first blood. He's lifted up, tossed back down. And K Phoenix, that's going to be a very fast Midas for him. 1,800 gold in the bank. Leader in CS. Probably the one hero that you just, if you could pick one and say, let's not give him first blood, it would be that Weaver. Nothing Wind Ranger's going to buy that will break the game open this early. Centaur would have a faster blink, but he's not going to have that fast of one anyway. But giving this Midas away so quickly, and it looks to be the build anyways. He's sitting on 2,000, recipe picked up. It will be a Midas. This is trouble. They're going to have to... You mentioned the Weaver problem. Well, the time to address that just got a lot shorter. Well, meanwhile, top lane, they do jump in on Tootie, and with no level 6... I mean, hell, he's level 3. He's not getting out of this one. Centaur also struggling, so both off lanes off to a very slow start. This is where the Batrider should be the better comeback hero, but Blaze, the luck is not with him. Golem spawn in one camp, an initial Golem spawn now stacked into a big camp, in, or a Centaur in the other. This is going to be a relatively slow jungle pattern for the Bat, and there's really nobody that can kill off these golems. Even the Storm can't do it quickly. This is a big problem for the Bat.
Yeah, I'm really quite surprised that the Centaur actually skilled the passive here, Return. Obviously, it's really good for countering zoning, but the Ogre Magi is just going to be able to regen that anyways, and up against a Viper, it's always going to trigger Corrosive Skin. So essentially now is Corey, knowing that he has Return skilled, can just kind of increase his ranks of Corrosive, not necessarily max it, but enhance that rank, and then he's just going to be able to 1v1 2D constantly while the supports do their own thing. So we're going to see that Invisron make its way towards the mid lane on the Ogre. Wind Ranger is going for a 2-4-1 build, so there is still some kill potential here, but it has to be pretty much chained up perfectly.
This could be a great jump in on the mid lane. Fixers, if he walks out just a bit farther... No, they're bringing the Ogre back to top. X-Freedom decides this is not a good go. It actually would be a pretty good go. Now Blitz may pay for this. The shackle shot from Fixers. Zip out, power shot. Oh, still cooling down. But that's a disastrous... Even though it's not a kill, still a disaster for Blitz. He's pretty much got to go heal or wait for his Bottle Crow. They'll find Tootie on the river. Perhaps they kill the Centaur again, looking for the initial stun for the bench. They'll get it. They followed up with the Fire Blast, clubbing down Tootie. They'll even bring in Slick's Flame Breaks there, pushing him back on top of X-Freedom. Well, crisis averted, but Storm, a hero that you want to snowball. And a patch where it's more difficult to snowball. Although the rubber band is slacking, there is still more of a rubber band than there used to be. And not even getting that powerful start. So, well, it's just tough to see how he's going to snowball at all this game with the way it's begun. He's now down 14 CS, 18 denies. He's been forced back to the base. He's a full level and a half down on a Wind Ranger. And it just gets harder from here to kill her. Phase Boot's now up. And she's going to be able to start maxing out the shackle shot.
Damn. And one item that I've been talking about time and time for Blitz, this Orchid pickup, could actually come out for the Wind Ranger as well. You could see an Orchid on the Wind Ranger. You could look towards a Hex long term. Like, I mean, the standard build has always been the Maelstrom and Force or Blink, some mobility tools, so that you can do a lot of damage. You can make those cool shackles happen. But at the same time, I think just picking up an Orchid would be extremely powerful against a few of these heroes, and I think the Storm especially. We're going to see Tootie kind of hanging out here. Does not feel safe anymore on the top lane. With the unlocked creep pull for the supports, he needs his own lane. So we're going to see Fixers kind of move about with the bottling the bounty rune. Maybe make a push play down bottom while Tootie gets some solo experience in mid. But
he's level 3 compared to the level 6 Bat, although that could be swung back the other direction. As Slicks gets caught out, dropping low to the Weaver, but the turn is here. K Phoenix, can he time-lapse? He didn't get it off. And Slick's narrowly dodging that power shot. Not sure if he knew it was coming. Will now head to the south. Wind Ranger thinking about a big jump in. Is there an Ogre Stun? No mana. And nothing really to follow this up. Power shot, or Shackle Shot rather, connecting on 22. But the rotation comes in from a hasted Blitz. Dota, TP out. No stun. Good decision making there. And not only are they winning in terms of the offlaner, Corey has picked up a Midas. So it's a slower one than the Weaver, but with the death on him, he's become your leader in terms of net worth, is caught up in CS. Not sure that a Viper alone can outcarry a Weaver, but when you consider how slow the Centaur's progression will be, this is actually not looking too bad for Zephyr. In fact, they lead now in net worth, up 1,000. They lead in goal, or they lead in experience by the same. This is a pretty damn good start for Zephyr.
Yeah, not too bad at all, honestly. The fact that Corey is able to take part in those 2 Centaur deaths, it really has brought him right back. I mean, it's really hard to bring back a First Blood against a Weaver, but actually they're going to go up top here. The Ice Blast will connect onto Corey, and K-Phoenix is right on top of him. He has to TP right now. Why, there it is. Okay, well, just a little hesitation, but in the end, he will make it back to base safely.
Yeah, they do force out the TP, but not much for your first Ice Blast in the end. Corey, a little bit sad by that. Risk is also out of mana now, and this opens up Zephyr to get more aggressive on their rotations. They know that Ice Blast is cooling down, and they're going to make their way towards the bottom lane, where Godot is trying to find his level 6. This kill does need to work, though. The Ogre's starting to fall behind in levels. Aosin, a little bit behind the Rubik. Let's see if they get it. They'll start it off with a slow. They followed up with a stun, a double stun. And Godot bites the dust. A nice, clean takedown there on the bottom lane once again. Score now 4-1. Zephyr leading in kills. The Weaver is back on top, slightly net worth, but all things considered, they're doing pretty well, Blaze. And I mean, I think for Zephyr, it's just about not getting crushed in the laning stage, to be honest. Like, I've seen this team really flounder over the past few months, but they're looking a little more stable now.
Yeah, we're seeing Slick's rebound really nicely in the jungle here, getting some good stacks out. There's actually a stack in the Central Radiant jungle that he might actually be able to snipe before maybe the Wind Ranger farms it up with her AoE ability, the power shot there. But no matter if he does or doesn't, he's going to be able to find his Blink Dagger at a really nice time. The Mud Golems are very frustrating, but all the same, they are going to get this hard camp stack out, and that's going to put him very, very close to the initiation tool he needs. In the meantime, it's going to be Ogre to pick up some solo experience in the mid, get to that multicast range, which actually gives them kill potential against the Wind Ranger, where that was pretty much non-existent before. And yeah, it does seem that they're actually gaining some momentum in this game, which is something that we haven't been able to say for Zephyr Dota for a while. So nice to see them back in action here. And with this new roster, I mean, they definitely are promoting their early game with their draft, with their movement, and it seems to be paying off here.
My big thing is, looking at the CsW draft, the only hero that can really make plays through this stage of the game is Centaur. You can't build your gameplay around shackle shots. That's just, it can work, but it's definitely not reliable. Blink Stomp Initiation is the way to go. Hell, Stampede into Shackle would be much better, but they don't even have his level 6. Without it, they're forced to play passive Dota, while Slicks is about to get his own Blink. Blitz isn't particularly farm, but at least has level 6, and they can find some kills. Is he thinking about a kill solo bottom on the Centaur? He's gonna need help for that. And they are bringing the rotation. Okay, Aosin and X-Freedom on the path, and on the warpath, and they can catch 2D here. A lot of wasted time for CsW top. They sent 2 supports there, 3 heroes total. They got nothing. And it might even be Zephyr who once again strike first.
He's desperate for level 6 here. He needs just 1 or 2 more creeps to get that level 6. He really wants it. He's under the tower. They know it, and they're going to punish him. But can they kill him before he gets a Stampede up?
They haven't yet shown X-Freedom. He's still in Viz, but with 4 heroes top and an aggressive Storm placement bottom, they have to know that something's up. They'll drop a Remnant now. 2D spotted out. The paint's coming out. But they're not going to go on him. Blitz trying to draw that creep wave back, and they're going to look to push in. But this is giving him level 6. And in fact, he'll just TP away. Do they get him in time? Zip, too late from Blitz. They had the vision, but didn't have the timing right. And
now they're all top.
Yeah, this push top looks like it will work. They have a double damage rune up on Fixers. Will they bring in reinforcements? Blink Lasso's ready, but Zephyr, much more of a single target pick-off lineup. Their team fight is a bit lacking for now.
Yeah, no AoE capacity on most of these heroes, so that's the problem there. They can do some damage over time, they can ignite them, they can firefly them, but as far as control, it's all single target. So they just have to really choose their targets very carefully and make sure they focus and lock down one at a time. It's going to be more problematic later when the fights are really like around the Roche pit and stuff like that. Very centric there. For now, they can start a fight, get a pick off with the lasso, and turn it into a 5v4, which is better for those single target things. And I kind of feel they have to, because otherwise you're going to be getting hit by multi-man stomps when 2D steps up his game with the Blink Dagger. And yeah, you don't want to be in that position, fighting in numbers disadvantage and getting the AoE disadvantage as well.
It felt like kind of a pub maneuver by both teams. Just, you know, that good old Mexican standoff where both teams stand around, not fighting, not really pressuring, very early to mid game. Used to be the clump up mid, but that was most common. But yeah, they'll finally decide we should back off our Weaver with the Midas and try to catch up and farm. But well, in the meantime, this gives Corey his mech. They'll try to go in top lane Stampede, but they got to get a lift to start. They actually drop the Ogre Magi back in, but I'm not sure he's the one you want to focus. Gets the 2x multicast. Follow-up stuns there from Aeson. Now they Viper Strike 2D and look to focus him. Shackle Shot won't connect. Aeson still alive for now. They stole the Wave of Terror, but he's going to survive for way too long. Power Shot pierces that Vengeful Spirit's cold and dark heart. She'll end up falling. Still Corey at full HP. Courier inbound. Do they snipe it? Fixer has a double damager, and he might end up killing off this Courier if he's quick. Blitz leaping forward. The mech now deployed, and Fixer's on the way out. They won't be able to secure an additional kill. A 2-for-1 exchange. Courier not going down. That was without the Weaver, though, so that is a little bit better for CSW in that sense, but overall, things looking good here for Zephyr.
Yeah, most definitely. They still got plenty of mana here on Blitz. He's going to be regenerating very quickly with his Oblivion Staff, and yeah, they can keep control of this position. Now,
I did want to mention, he got the tier 1 bottom earlier, so that's pretty big for his economy plays. He was really struggling mid.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Now he's got a lot of momentum towards that Orchid, and yeah, he's in a position where he can actually pick the Weaver before the Linkage comes out. That's really important. The Ring of Health is up for K Phoenix now, but he's still not just there, and I think Blitz will have about a 45 to 60 second window where he will have an Orchid and Weaver won't have the linkage. We're going to see down bottom, Aeson could get the swap here. They get the stun first. They can go followed up. They don't. Oh, the tower falls, and he's going to get the time-lapse off just in time, but the dust will follow.
They swap him in, and he keeps on running, but I think they got him anyway. Yeah, another stun. Kill, lock down on the Weaver, and that makes life much more pleasant for Blitz in particular. He'll try to hold the line here top lane. It is a 4-staff build from Fixer, not going for your carry Wind Ranger. We've seen on occasion Arteezy experiment with that Maelstrom Rush, especially in pubs. Minimal success, to be honest. But.
Dude, Maelstrom is so legit on this hero. It's actually kind of bugged when you look at the tooltip and it says it reduces unique attack modifiers. It doesn't reduce Maelstrom at all. It's really insane. But we do see 2D going on Eos in here.
Gets multicast again! Oh. This lottery working out beautifully. Blitz zips very far away. Try saying that one 10 times fast. Fixer's also on the retreat out. The zip forward. Trying to focus him down. Tanks a power shot. He's nearly dead and he keeps on chasing it. Bottling up all the way out the zip. Blitz, please! Oh, that was a completely avoidable death. Did he spend his gold at least? He did not. And he had a second Oblivion Staff. That is very costly, but in good news, still a 3-for-1 for the team. Yeah. Blitz just getting cocky.
Yeah, he's still got a net gain of plus 65, reliable. I mean, it's not the best, but it'll do. And looks like Phoenix actually wants to go for a cleanup play. Can he catch Eosin out? He's going to go for it, and I think he's going to get in range for this Geminate. This should be the death of the Vengeance Spirit just at that last moment. The last right click is barely enough. And K Phoenix will slip away. Corey will try to turn on him, but he's got all of his escape tools. He Midases the enemy's neutrals, and he walks away free.
That journey around the world. Weaver on a magic carpet ride of sorts, and with that, maintains the CS lead. I love how he just stopped off to Midas a creep. Well, Blitz does have the complete Oblivion Staff now, but so he actually had the quarterstaff, but did not have the recipe. So that will delay him a bit more. It's still not a terrible timing. A great Storm game, you'd see your Orchid up by now, right around now, especially with the tower down, but we haven't really seen many games where here like Storm has a great start. There's just too much early roaming from supports and just too many other strong mids in general that can punish the hero early on. But I still think this is about as good as it's going to get for a Storm game. No silences, no Scarith Mage, no Global from the Silencer, no Death Prophet, and they'll go in bottom lane onto 2D. They'll try to pull him back in here with Blitz. He pulls him as the lasso's going through. Not quite enough to get the kill. Need to zip in a bit farther, but he gets lifted. Drop back down. Blitz the stun stolen by Godot. Outworked in the fight. He had a second there to just zip forward, and they'll even end up losing Slicks. One more auto attack by K Phoenix to Bruno. Now, what a disaster for Zephyr. 2 deaths in as many minutes for Blitz. And right when he's on the cusp of picking up that Orchid too, Blaze.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, I don't know, that was absolutely disastrous for them. I think he actually stacked these stuns a little too hard there. Like, he Vortex essentially right after the lasso came out there. And obviously, the Batrider had full control of his position, had the stun ongoing. You want to try to prevent the Stampede for reinforcements, but that was just too early, too preemptive, and you miss an actual extra usage of your Overload there. So, yeah, awkward.
The other thing is he pulled him the other direction. Like, he's pulling him back towards the tower. So, he was helping to, like, almost save the Centaur. Yeah, I think just a little bit of nerves or overzealous play. I'm not sure, but it was. It's a Weaver Link. It's up now before the Orchid, and it felt like it could be 3 minutes the other direction had these 2 deaths not happened.
Exactly. I think that is a Weaver death that they missed out on right there by that timing. Like, we're going to see the Orchid still come out, and it's going to be very beneficial, but right now they need something else to break it. Essentially, like, they're going to be looking for the 4-staff as quickly as possible in Slick, so they can blink in 4-staff with the Batrider and then follow it up with either the Orchid or, if they have the time for the cast animation, the lasso.
Shackle shot will connect on X Freedom, but he's pretty damn tanky. He's tossed actually out of the power shot that would have connected anyway. Still ends up going down. Nice snipe there by your Ancient Apparition, taking him out of the fight. Ogre down, Venge down, double support takedown for Team CsW. A clean defense, and Zephyr just not that well coordinated. Going in 1 by 1, giving up avoidable kills, and giving a lot of momentum back the way of CsW. Weaver now pretty much halfway to his, well, not halfway to his next item. He's gone back for treads, but now he can begin to build that next item. And Tootie's gotten his blink. It's a late blink on the Centaur, but I gotta be honest, I feel like he could have more impact on Storm if he plays his cards right from here.
And there's so much potential for control now, because the Rubik is up against a Viper that's above level 11, so at this point he can just always steal Viper straight level 2.
Oh no, they sent in the stomp, the double-edge combination, he's gonna shatter to this with 1 more auto attack. Do they get it? He tries to turn and fight, he figures I'm going down anyway, but he doesn't even get the experience before falling. Great time to pick up that Blink Dagger, and nice execution by CsW. A costly death again. Blitz is just getting bullied at this point. 2 and 3, and all 3 of those deaths, right when he's about to get an Orchid, he's finally bought it now, but, I mean, it's not good enough just to buy the Orchid, Blaze. You actually have to use it to control the mapping of kills.
Yeah, it really is a tempo-based item, and one that timing is of the most critical aspect. But I really feel if he had, instead of having dropped down these multiple times, if he had just farmed up a triple stack or something with Remnants and Overload, then he would have been in a really good spot this game. But as it stands, it just feels a little bit too late. And once again, they're really relying on Corey here. Now, Corey's item build right now is Mechanism plus Midas, Treads Aquila. But the big deal here is that he has 3,600 gold baked up. So the decision here, what does he go for? Does he go for a BKB to deal with the shackle shots, the Centaur, and those types of things? Or does he go for more damage to try to bring in what they don't have right now?
I'm not sure. There's no easy answers. Like, you get the BKB, you can still shatter. There will be good right-click later on from the Weaver. I kind of think Ags is the compromise. Sure. You know, it's obviously always a great item on Viper. It's not a perfect BKB game. It's a good one, but in general, if you're gonna run a hero as your ideal late game carry, then you don't want to get your BKB too early. And I feel like they've missed their timing window, Blaze. If I'm Zephyr, I look at this and say, we're just not going to win big team fights now. They have too much AoE. They have their control with the Blink Force on the Wind Ranger, the Blink on the Centaur, and the better playmaking supports for this stage of the game. Let's take advantage of our strengths, which are late game Bloodlust, Storm, who can be very devastating if he's farmed enough later on. And to me, one of the best, absolute best end heroes up there. Well, used to be up there with Tinker. I don't even know if Tinker's up there anymore as a carry later on. And yeah, take advantage of the Bloodlust and the Venture. I don't really see them winning too many fights now. And your mech also likely to be useless, that's Zephyr's biggest team fight ability is that mech.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but at least the Ice Blast will be unavailable for now, and Viper will get the last hit on that tower much easier than with the Wind Ranger because you have that Nether Toxin passive, so that's going to be very beneficial. But it goes back to one thing that I was talking about a little bit earlier right now, is that Zephyr, with this BKB pickup in particular, they need to start taking fights. And It's very difficult to do when you consider the vision situation. You look at Radiant Vision, you look at Dire Vision, it's night and day. Who has what? And with Corey having just TP to the top lane, they want to go for an Invis Room play with Slicks, but...
So Radiant Ward here, as soon as one of these other heroes besides Slicks walks down the hill, they could get caught, and there's actually a Sentry. Slicks, now will show himself, Blinken, Stop's gonna find him, but the entire ambush attempts to turn this Ice Blast on 3, great power shot on 3 as well. They'll lose their Bat Rider off the bat, and now Aeson try to duke it out, but he just can't match up against Fixers. They'll end up getting the return kill for Corey, a 2 for 2 thus far. Windranger falling, the Storm still surviving, and they look for Tootie, make it a 3 for 2. The Viper, the key pivot point here for Zephyr, will keep them in the fight, and they come out on top. I don't think CSW realized just how much was backing up that Bat Rider, or it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it definitely could have, but at the same time, I feel they got one of the better initiations for these kind of clashes. Like, the Lasso didn't even come out from the Bat Rider. They had no control against the Weaver. It's just a straight-up fact that Viper does more damage than the Weaver right now. Like, with the reduction of cooldown of Geminate attack, unless you have an item that actually procs, the 6.82 actually kind of nerfed Weaver. Like, you have to have a crit or something that will actually benefit from that pseudo-buff of that aspect of the hero in order for you to not feel like you just got completely shafted by the fact that your Geminate procs significantly less, especially when your attack timings are this slow. So
he is going Deso, which does address one of their issues. They don't push towers very quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
So once he gets the crit next, then he will hit extremely hard. And he's closing in on that Deso, though they might find him here, Blaze. They're smoked up.
Oh, this would be a huge pick, but it's so hard to do with the Lincolns and the fact that he does have his... Oh, Shiguchi, they'll have to go now. He just time-lapses away. He's just like, screw it. This is the best way to get out of here. The Lincolns does pop, but they do not lock him down.
Well, in the meantime, Blitz getting some opportunities to farm the bottom lane. He is going for a BKB, and for Storm, this is the essential item. Viper can take punishment. Storm, no chance. If he gets caught by one stun, he will just die. So this allows Blitz to initiate without too much fear, and... when he picks that item up, we may look for Zephyr's second offensive. They now have a Yasha up on their Viper as well. Probably the Manta style being built here. Nothing really that great to Manta out of, but it's just a cost-effective, easy-to-build item that scales reasonably well into the late game for pretty much any agility carry. And Desolator now also picked up. This is a good timing window for CSW. I'm feeling like Zephyr are looking a bit weaker now as they'll find the Blink Stop initiation onto Slick. Shackle shot to follow it up. And the H-Apparition ult to jam it home. A quick and easy kill on the Bat Rider, who still doesn't have his 4-step. Slicks! I mean, I've been giving Blitz a hard time, and I think it hasn't been his best Storm game, but Slicks has also been struggling. Both gankers really not getting the job done right now for Zephyr.
Oh, they'll try for it, but the Orchid does not cancel the Blink Dagger. Tootie still gets out with good reflexes here, and they don't really have a chance to push in this situation. Like, the fortification will come out and they will be able to defend this tower while Weaver has a great time with that newly picked up Desolator up top. So Risk can send the Ice Blast all the way from top to bottom, and in that position there's no way Zephyr take that tower. So they just back off, they try to recoup, they get the 6,000 net worth acquisition on the Bat Rider, so he does finally find that 4-staff, and we'll see if it's enough to kind of open up opportunities on this Weaver, maybe break the Lincolns early in the engagements. But yeah, I want to talk once again, I've harped on it a little bit already, but Vision, again, we're going to see some aggressive wards placed out by Zephyr, so they do have opportunities, but they also have to commit themselves to the Radiant territory more often than not. Meanwhile, Cancer Wisps has been able to pick up one on the plateau of the Dire side, as well as controlling one towards Roche. They really have a good understanding of when Zephyr being aggressive, and they can play passive under their tower during that time frame.
He's seeing this ogre.
Yes, I am.
I refuse to move until something happens here. Alright. Finally, X-Freedom will bloodlust itself. He goes in for the backstep and Godot. That's a dead Rubik. Stunned. Drop back down. He'll take a nice clubbing. X-Freedom's patience pays off. Kill secured.
Nice. Did you play Warcraft 2 by chance?
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember the bloodlust sound there? Now imagine that being S-cancelled over and over and over again.
Oh, where the ogre is like, wow, wow! Yeah,
that
go
one.
Nuts.
Yeah, I can imagine Ogre taking that one instead. That would drive somebody insane. Oh, Slick's getting shackled here.
2-hero stop, Blitz. This is not good. My friend needs to sip out quickly. Will do so, but that Desolator, you can just see how threatening it is. Didn't even get off any auto attacks, but it would have nearly killed him with just a double auto attack from the Geminate. Now they chase forward. K-Phoenix getting pretty confident. Do they have a stun ready? Lincoln's is still online, so no way to cancel that. In the end, just a kill on the Batrider and a retreat to safety for Mr. Tootie, who nearly has completed a mech. As he continues to climb the net worth charts, after the start he had, he's almost even with that enemy Batrider. And yet another death for Slicks. The struggle is very real for him.
Yeah. I think they honestly need to do something like smoking a Roche, but they don't have a medallion, and with the current... This one ward, I think, is going to give them so much intel. Like, CSW is going to be able to realize when nobody's farming in an Eastern hard camp for a minute, minute and a half. I mean, that's a camp that they go to every single minute, because it's the most available one, is the least vulnerable one, but... In the end, that means that if they keep on going to that camp, the 1 minute that they don't go to it, it's obvious that they're making something happen. Whether they're smoke ganking the Weaver, whether they're smoking for Roche, it's just they don't really have the surprise factor right now. And we're actually going to see an interesting pickup on Centaur here. He is beginning to have the mana pool to support it. Still not there just yet with only 1.6 intelligence gain, but he does have a mechanism.
Yeah, he had the buckler earlier, headdress, and I will now complete it, so... they don't really have another mech builder. At this point, Wind Ranger's not going to go back for yet another utility item, but speaking of that Wind Ranger, beaten down in the river. Zephyr finding a kill, and that's kind of a gimme for them. Not K-Phoenix, the hero they'd really like to get. At this point, your Wind Ranger, not the most important target to bring down, but if Zephyr can transition this into an objective, be it a Roche, be it a tower... That would really help pull them back into it. And, in good news, Blitz has his BKB now. This makes him a much more difficult kill. You see a Shackle Shot coming, just BKB. The Blink Stomp's there. If you're quick, just BKB. And this will give them some solutions. Rubik does have his Blink Dagger, though, and that's the one instant disable that could be a thorn in Blitz's side.
Yeah, the instant disables is what it's all about here, and I think there is a lot of potential for Rubik to cause some real grief here. We still see the Mantis style pick up on Corey. You mentioned that there's not that much to break out as far as Mantis style. You can make Shackle Shot do some weird things when you pop it mid-animation. You can also, experienced players will be able to dodge hoof stomps with the invulnerability frames provided by Mantis style, so hopefully Corey's up to the challenge there. But no matter the case, it's going to give him some good base stats and some powerful illusions that can do some work. So we'll see if that's going to be what it takes to break open into this mid-game. Right now, I feel that Weaver's just going to be contributing more, though. Before the Desolator, it was all Corey, but K-Phoenix has really bounced back. He's now Lincoln's, Desolator, and Hard, and hey, you wonder how he was ever out of control of this game. Like, he is in a great position right now.
Ice Blast, scouting that Roche pit, but with Ice Blast down, this could be an opening for Zephyr. It's a big part of CSW's team fight, as they're smoked just south of the rim. But nobody wanting to contest into it yet. Blitz will be farming dragons from the high ground up to 1,300 gold now. And nobody really has like a great hero to go split push. You have Weaver, who's decent, and doesn't have BOTs. There's no real towers close to the Roche pit, so if he wants to split push, it's probably going to be bottom. But for now, not going to take that risk.
Still some really nice wards coming out for Zephyr here. They are able to get two really good aggressive wards seeing in the jungle. One's gonna expire very shortly, but even now they know the cluster of can't say whips, and they're gonna make their move. I think they can get the jump here, and a big lasso would do so much in this position.
These heroes all have blinks, though. They gotta be very quick on the jump in. Do they find anyone? They managed to vacuum Fixers in, but still got lifted by the Rubik. That will cause the Batrider to melt. They'll get the trade, a 1-for-1 exchange. The ding 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 secures that kill.
Yeah. And Godot stole lasso. He can blink in and he can actually pick off somebody. I don't know if it's going to be somebody as big as the Viper, but if you just get Eos in so he can't swap it, then you're still going to get a really nice pickoff. So that's going to be banked up in the memory here for a decent period of time, and as it is a level 2 ultimate, and he can pretty much guarantee you Roche fights with that thing. Like it's not as good without Force Staff or Firefly, but it's still a really powerful disable if you can survive.
Yeah, and the concern is this Weaver just doesn't seem very killable at this point. They'll have to invest a lot, and even if they use all their disables, they can get them, but accomplishing that will be difficult with Stampede in play, and well, the Rubik to disengage, and another smoke here from CSW. They've got to be running very low on these. Let's see. They have one in the stash and none in the inventory, so should this one fail, they'll be out of them for quite a long time. But looking to make a play near the Roche pit, they won't find it. Smoke will end. Lasso starting to cool down here. There's still 2/3 duration left, so a decent chunk of time.
Yeah. And since you mentioned it, actually, Stampede is incredible with Lasso too. So if Godot and 2D can coordinate a little bit here, get a Stampede Lasso on somebody, that would be a free pick that would actually let the Radiant side take Roshan. And that's something you don't often get to say. Even with the shift up of the terrain, where it's not as favorable for the Dire, it's still very difficult for a Radiant side to hold the towers needed to reinforce a Roche fight. But you get that pick off, you use that Desolator, and you should be able to take it down in a good span of time. We're going to see a smoke play coming out from Zephyr, though, and they need this one to work. It's game time right now. Like, they have drawn it out to nearly 0 as far as golden experience goes, but any later and this Weaver just gets too big. They have to go now.
Problem for them is, great Observer Ward here mid lane. Did not actually see the smoke, but saw everyone from Zephyr retreat and disappear. And nobody's been on the map since then. Will they get the initiation? Godot's there. K-Phoenix reveals the entire damn thing, and then just walks away. Now the Centaur jumps in. That's a stun on 3. Corey caught out, as well as 2 supports. Blitz, try to do what he can with the BKB, but doesn't really finish anyone off. Now drops incredibly low. Fixers try to finish the job, kills off Blitz. So far, a 2-for-1. They're going to lose their Vengeful Spirit. The trade will be that Wind Ranger, but still a very tanky and healthy Weaver getting aggressive. And they just
if he
can't
didn't have
fight
that
anyone.
heart, it's a completely different fight. But they were just, even with the control they got, they just don't have the damage follow-up necessary to bring down a Heart Weaver. Like, we're going to see Viper move into crit here, I believe, or maybe MKB if he predicts a Butterfly as the next pickup for K-Phoenix. But it's just so damn hard to bring down this Weaver unless you're able to invest 3 or 4 heroes for the entire duration of the lasso.
Just great scouting by CsW, and again, this goes back to this Observer Ward. I'm quite sure that they knew something was up. As they retreated, they were kind of grouping near the northern edge of that middle lane, prepared for a potential smoke gank. And this also is frustrating for Zephyr, as with a win there, they'd be taking Roche right now for sure, but without it, they fall short. Still have a decent late game though. You've got maybe not the better carry, but definitely the better supporting cast to buff up your carry, as Vengeful Spirit now has the max wave of Terror. It's still the level 1 Vengeance Aura. Your Ogre Magi, level 3 Bloodlust for X Freedom. So I am looking at a Viper who I think could carry this one, please. It's definitely possible.
But there's 2 item races that I'm seeing right now. The Ogre Magi is going for the Aghanims, which will buff up his potential for damage and disable in the fights, and the Ancient Apparition is going for his, of course. But I think between the 2, Risk is going to be able to benefit from it more. Just the Ice Blast against Viper's Mechanism and against the Zephyr lineup, they're going to be able to get so much more out of that extended duration. And then the other race I see is the potential Scythe race between Blitz as well as the Wind Ranger, which Wind Ranger is winning out in tempo. Now, and as well, I think it's probably the thing they need to actually lock down Blitz if he doesn't have the BKB on. So, yeah, we'll see if that comes into play at all. I guess it's also what they need against Weaver, is trying to get the Hex on him before he Shikuchis. So, timing windows for both sides, but I think if the Wind Ranger picks up a Hex next and the Ancient Apparition gets his Aghanim Scepter, that Zephyr are going to have to spread the map and avoid fights.
Yeah, that Wind Ranger now up to 3,600 gold, nothing on the Courier, so still a ways off from a Hex of her own, and it does put Blitz about on par with her, maybe, well, a little bit behind, but not overwhelmingly so, and he does have a BKB, so as long as he gets it off, he'll at least be able to initiate, but we are seeing just too many deaths on Blitz, and it's just not what you want out of a Storm. You run a Storm, you run great ganking supports, you want to be able to just find kills without giving something up. Just find the kill, go back to farming. Had he been able to do that once or twice more, he'd probably have a Hex by now, and he wouldn't really be able to kill the Weaver still, but he'd be able to threaten these other heroes much more easily. And even just being able to jump the Centaur, like prevent him from macking, force him to stampede at an awkward time, that's a big deal. As Fixers will go for his ultimate orb now, and Ogre Magi, the first Ags on the map. He's going to be looking to blast some fools. He's got Dust ready. And they'll scout this Roche Pit again with an Ice Blast. This will be down. Timing can work out pretty well for Zephyr. Nah, maybe not. They're going to back off.
Yeah. Now, it's kind of weird with this Aghanim Scepter and using Arcane Boots and stuff like that. You actually want to keep your mana as low as possible to still get all the spells you want out in a fight, but also to minimize the cost of this unrefined Fire Blast. So you usually save your Arcanes until at least after the second volley of spells before you start replenishing your mana pool. And, yeah, I don't know. I've always seen, like, whenever I see this Ags come out, I usually see this Ogre sitting at, like, 10 to 20% mana for the rest of the game usually. Like it just drops so fast from that full pool to almost nothing with the first couple of casts. And yeah, I guess you have to be conservative on that front, but against heroes like Weaver, you kind of have to also bring everything you have in the initial volley of spells.
Yeah, it's true, because Aesen's going to get one stun off, and then he's probably dead. Most fights, that's what's going to happen. Your Bat has the lasso, then that's it. Blitz will probably provide 2-3 disables in a fight, and then it's just Ogre. And they'll need more than just the solo disables from Storm to get those kills, so I'm with you, Blaze. It is important to manage your mana if you're the Ogre. It's also important just to get lucky, honestly.
Yeah.
It sounds silly, but without that bonus damage, I think there's going to be a lot of fights where they just fall short on the Weaver attempts. And he's gone back for a Chrysalis now, so the proc will become more relevant, and Zephyr may look to make a move towards this Roche Pit once again. They're starting to form up. Ice Blast. Gonna debuff Blitz, but no real threat of a kill. This Wind Ranger will ping out a haste rune that he's picked up. Very passive play from both teams. An even game in terms of gold, an even game in terms of experience. Slight leads for the Radiant. Both teams having good late game. Better team fight on CSW, better single target pickoff on Zephyr. But the hardest carry in the game on CSW, the better supports to buff a carry on Zephyr. It feels pretty damn even to me, and I think this will be like 95% team fight execution to see who takes it.
They're trying to group for a smoke here. It's at least on the courier, but they're spreading out a little bit too. So it looks like they're going to hesitate on that play in particular. But one thing that they just go right into is this Gem of True Sight. I think this is obviously at 40 minutes. It's not the biggest cost investment. There's still a lot of gold floating about, but it's still one that they have to hold on to for a decent period of time. I could easily see CSW taking it away from him within the next 2 minutes if they move about the map appropriately and find that fight opportunity. But we'll see if they do, because if this gem stays on the side of Zephyr for an extended period of time, they're going to get map control back, and it's going to be harder and harder for a Weaver to feel safe. For now, they're just moving about in the enemy territory, Midasing up their jungle, and yeah, turning it into gold. But in the end, I think they'll just kind of go into a tier 2 tower push with AA holding back and look for a kind of a counter initiation play.
Okay, Phoenix squirms his way through that middle lane towards the bottom side of the map, staying relatively close to Roche. The rest of the team packed tightly behind him. The power shot to give a little momentum to this wave, and they'll let K Phoenix be the little bug in front, but they are backing him up from the high ground. And this has to be something Zephyr recognizes. They'll think about a Firefly initiation, perhaps, wrapping around, but they've got to get all the way around behind the creep wave, and it's daytime. Radiant team very likely to get eyeballs on this tower. Will it be denied? Yeah, nicely done by Blitz. Still, they get the lift. They stomp him back. The stomp hits right as he lands. Boom! Nearly finishing him off, but he's able to survive. Pop the BKB. They'll lose the Venge instead. Great defensive swap by Aeson to turn that one. Blitz was dead to rights otherwise. No question about it. Fixers, though, a double ding-ding. Takes him down. Make it a 2-for-1. Aeson, the game-saving swap there for sure.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. Like, by all rights, Blitz should have fallen.
That was such a good jump by CSW. The Centaur stomp while he was dropping. Like, he hadn't even hit the ground yet. That was, you can't ask for better. I think he might have misplayed that.
Like, I think he actually might have like been blinking too far, and it would have given him the shortened blink range. But luckily, the telekinesis pulling him right back into it. So whether coordinated or by chance, the host stomp was absolutely perfect follow-up to the telekinesis. But yeah, ESN Dota, big deal.
Yeah, that was a big deal, and it keeps Blitz from yet another death. He's now back to even, 4-4. He's also closing in on his Hex. And with Bloodlust, something to mention with Storm is he does benefit a lot from attack speed. It's one of the reasons Orchid's great on him. A hero that every time he can get off an auto attack with the Overload proc, he's going to do a lot of additional damage. So, not something to be underestimated, and they will try and make their way into the pit now. Corey, with that MKB online, he'll be in the front lines here. Bloodlusted and going to work. Nobody from CSW in the neighborhood, aside from K Phoenix, who has completed his Daedalus. A gigantic Weaver, to be sure. But alone, this Weaver will not outcarry all of Zephyr. He'll need his team to find those good initiations.
Yeah. He's not going to be going towards a Butterfly either, since he already sees the MKB that's going to be up on Corey, so it is going to be easier subsequently for the rest of Zephyr to auto-attack him down. Like, even when he's not hexed up, we're still going to be seeing some decent autos coming out from everyone because of the Vengeaura buff-up, and there's going to be some real kill potential there. You see an interesting pickup here. It's in the 42-minute Urn of Shadows, but, you know, it's a quality item.
Against an Ancient Apparition as well. I'm not sure how quality it is. I guess it's okay.
Yeah, cancel Blink on Centaur or something. I don't know. I mean, there's value in it. It's just it's a weird time. Is all.
At this point, I'd rather just see a medallion, honestly. Like, will help you take the next Roche quicker, gives you some extra burst damage, synergizes well with Wave of Terror. If you want to get an item that's a similar cost anyway.
Sure.
Or just try to save for, some kind of stats, so maybe he lives a second or two longer in the team fight. But end of the day, Aeson's purchases are not going to decide this game for Zephyr. That will come down more to swaps. And Mortar's execution is Zephyr are playing this one pretty safe. They do have a gem now in Blitz, so they can get some good dewarding. He's completed his Hex as well. Does have the Aegis. And it's worth talking about how important Aegis is for Storm. A hero that likes to essentially expend his entire mana pool, use all of it zipping in, go in for initial pickoff, be the initiator in many cases. And then you die, you come back to life, you've got a second round of mana to work with. So, a very big item. I think one of the very best Aegis carries in the game, along with perhaps a hero like Leshrac is high on that list. Someone who not only uses the additional life very well, but also the full mana pool to great success.
Yeah. Got to sync him up with a Phoenix Aghanim Scepter to get him that full pool with the egg there, and you'll be able to zip-zap all day long. But nah, back here in Captain's Mode, this is probably, the best way to go about it is this Aegis Immortal.
Just Phoenix things.
Exactly. But maybe Bloodstone could be an item that you could consider, because you could get the quick instant respawn, transition into BOTs, and get back into the fight that way as well. You do have to have a lot of kills behind it, though, and honestly, this has been a very kill-quiet game by comparison to many. Like, 21 to 18, it's not bad for 44.5 minutes, but it isn't going to be, like, giving you all the charges in the world if you do end up going for a late-game Bloodstone.
And they're getting aggressive now with Bloodlust and Corey having the decent damage from the MKB. He'll siege this one from low ground to high ground. Not committing, though. 6 will retreat out, and Zephyr finally getting in deep in enemy territory. Even when they've been winning fights, it's normally over. In this region, the most we've seen is like down in the river. They haven't been deep into CsW lines in some time, but finally Blaze, they're on the offensive. And that's a lot of damage done. And no real trade.
Yep, I mean, that's going to be nice if they can turn that into racks pretty soon, but the question is, will they actually be able to have this lane pushed out again like that anytime soon? I think they really have to brute force it, because as it stands, CsW are going to want it on the other side of the river constantly. They're going to keep pushing it, Weaver will farm it, or we're going to see Wind Ranger just power shot it down, whatever they need to do to keep it away, because they know obviously that the damage has been done there. So as long as they keep the Creequilibrium out, I don't feel that that's going to be that much of a limiting factor of the damage they received, as long as it doesn't turn it into permanent structural integrity loss. But for now, I think the big pickup here, not only the Hex coming out on the Wind Ranger since the last fight, but this Daedalus going for the Weaver. So now he has the crit, he has the Stygian aspect, the -7 armor. He has a ton of durability, and of course he has buyback gold banked up.
And he also still has 2 slots, because with Weaver, you don't really need your boots later on, unless you're in a base race scenario and have to be able to BOT back to home. You can just drop those, use the buyback time lapse to rejoin the fight. So K-Phoenix still has room to farm quite a bit more if he wants to.
Yeah. But what do you go at that point? Like Divine Rapier territory?
I don't know, man. An Abyssal, a Hex. Like, there's always something that can help you, but Divine is a bit risky, I think.
Yeah, Scotty Satanic is my personal favorite segue, but you'd be selling the Desolator not but 20 minutes after you got it. Not that that's the worst investment. He still got a lot of value just doing some split pushing and team fighting with it, but yeah, it really just comes down to how much you can really do with the extra survivability there. Like, if he had a Satanic and a Scotty instead of the Desolator Midas, is there anything Zephyr Dota could do to kill him with their roster, their entire draft?
Not unless it's like 4v1.
Exactly.
They need to focus everyone else. But the good news is everyone else is very vulnerable. Wind Ranger with 1500 health against a Hex, that evasion will not protect you and can be brought down very easily. They have plenty of magic damage as well, and there's only 1 BKB on the Centaur, so I still think no matter how big the Weaver gets, Zephyr can easily take this if they're able to just kill the supporting cast. But they lose their Aegis now. This is an awkward timing for them to stick around and blitz. In the front lines, gets caught by a stomp though. They have a defensive swap. Shackle Shot's there. Not using the swap out yet. Does Blitz want to go back in? Cold Feet will hold him in place. That was a Stampede down, but I think you still retreat if you're Zephyr.
Well, I mean, at the very least, they didn't get picked off there. The timing of the Aegis loss, it could have been critical, but they're not able to really fight outside their base in that kind of situation there. Like, they had more spells to throw at them before his BKB came out. Like they could have gone for the Hex play and stuff like that, but they really would have had to all be in the right frame of mind. They would have been initiating hard, and it would have been a pretty big commitment that they just didn't want to go for right now. So for now, they'll hold it, and it looks like we're going to wait out another roast cycle as we do see the Viper pick up the Butterfly. So I guess Weaver's next item will be answered for him. He does have to go for the MKB. He's actually going to go for a Butterfly himself against a MKB and a Hex that are already in play. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's ideal.
But without the boots, you need some Flutter, right?
Yeah, I can't think of a more useless hero to have Flutter on than Weaver. Now, I guess the good news is if they do manage to kill him, well, there's still a Hex though. Is the other thing. Like, if it was just an MKB, I'd say okay, well maybe you can just kill Viper, but yeah, this does not feel like an ideal Butterfly game to me. I would rather see either just actual durability. Satanic you mentioned would be good. Scotty could be good. There's nothing big to manta out of, so and you've got a Lincoln's anyway, so I'd say skip that. A BKB even wouldn't be too bad. There's a lot of stuns that and disables that don't go through BKB if he wants that magic community, or just go for an MKB of your own. But to me, this is like the last possible choice that I would look at as a tier 4 and say this is the way to go.
Yeah, I definitely think it's an interesting decision there. I would have gone for the MKB here, but all the same, it's his choice. He gets a nice little bit of attack speed there, and if that gives him that extra Geminate, if it syncs up pretty well, the timing of attack speed and cooldown, then maybe it's worth the choice there. But at least for the moment, we're going to see the smoke play through to bottom lane. It's pretty much just going to result in a tier 2 tower kill on the bottom lane, presumably, and then up top, it is just going to be the subsequent push. And again, it is important that they keep this lane pushed out. They do not want this Creequilibrium hitting and that tier 3 tower damage they received before to haunt them.
Well, Corey's going to be getting the siege, and it's a quick one with the Butterfly online. He hits for almost 300, actually a little over 300 damage per chop with the Strike Charge activated. He'll now be Bloodlusted, so he goes in a bit harder. And still, CsW at the same time looking for a trade of their own. They want to draw some TPs back from Zephyr, force them to commit to a defense, and they'll begin prepping with Slick's Firefly, but he's very cautious about jumping in. He'll just flame break the creep wave back. Everybody retreats, and nothing really ends up happening.
Passivity ensues, so that really puts a lot of importance on the next Roche cycle. Roche is going to be respawning in 2.5 minutes here, so it is going to be a fairly long respawn timer. And I don't think that favors either team since the lines of battle keep on shifting, but it just in general comes down to the fact that we are going to be waiting a little bit longer. Any pickoff that happens now won't decide the game just based on the fact that Roche isn't up, but it's still going to be pretty important that they establish map control once again. And you were talking about smokes earlier. Let's see that, kind of check into that. We're going to see Smoke Deceit come out for the Radiant side in about 13 seconds. It's just cooling down, and they also have one on Godot, so they are going to be able to initiate 2 ganks in that fashion. One should be reserved for Roche. Another on the side of the Dire, they have 1 inside their shop and none on the Courier. So 2 versus 1. CsW have 1 more to play around with before that next respawn.
Zephyr do begin warding a bit. They drop down a slightly less common ward for the Roche Pit, but with the new placement, this is a good one. And well, Ancient Apparition may be able to de-ward at the same time. He's got the gem online. And we'll see if Zephyr try to make a move. They're praying for this Roche to respawn soon. And the one other thing that we haven't mentioned is buybacks. There's only 1 on the Viper right now for the Dire side, but there's 3 up on CsW. So this makes the Aegis even more essential for Blitz. As he gets caught on the high ground by a stop, a Hex, Blitz! Oh! No buyback either. Great pickoff by CsW. And after coming back very beautifully into this game, Blaze, that one might cost them a lot. They'll blink in further, looking for a Shackle Shot in 2-2. Oh, rather, X-Freedom, not going to finish him up, but that damage from the Weaver, almost enough. The crits are strong with this one.
Even if you don't get the kill, you got to be so scared. If you
okay, well, now this Roche timer definitely favoring Zephyr, as this will be a guaranteed one for CsW with that pickoff.
Yeah, exactly. So the timing window, it made it so the pickoff, it's still important, but it's not the game breaker. So we'll see if there's going to be an Aegis snatch play, or maybe using that last smoke that they just got to jump in right when Blitz is back up and available. They don't know the timer either, so they figure right now they might even be doing Roche, but K-Phoenix on the front line here, he's actually looking at tier 3s. We talked about buybacks. I think they are favored in that scenario, but they are pushing into the enemy base. Do you think that they should actually be trying to breach the high ground here?
No, I think they're hoping they can bait out a Blitz buyback, but it's just not enough time to do it. And it's a Mystic Staff for K Phoenix, then a Demon Edge. He's thinking Hex, but he will go, I guess, MKB. Rapier probably not the ideal choice versus the completed Butterfly Viper. And they may look for the Roshan as the big boy has respawned. Is that second smoke also going to come into play? It is worth reminding the viewers. Ball Lightning was stolen in the last fight. So, Godot looking at a very reliable source of initiation here. The Storm zipping into an insta-lift. And they might just go straight on Blitz. His backup non-position. Rubik's coming in hot. He's coming in fast. Blitz not again. This time he swapped out to safety. He was hexed. He's headed in the tree line, but this might allow them to turn it. Blitz very low though. Still not popping his BKB. Zipping in and out of the fight. Still holding the BKB. He's really playing with fire. Speaking of playing with fire, Ogre is as well. The Weaver healthy. Chasing onto Corey. Manta attempting to dodge that shackle shot. Will retreat successfully. But it's a free tower for K Phoenix. They lost 2 to keep Blitz alive. They'll four-step him in, but into what? A secondary stun? Almost enough to bring down K Phoenix. That was close. He still had a buyback time lapse.
I think they could have run him down with those last 2 auto attacks from the Viper.
He's still, yeah, he still had a buyback time lapse. Not the biggest deal. Would have been a nice pickoff for sure.
Yeah, still very frustrating to lose out on that opportunity. Actually, honestly, it could have been a lot worse, though. Like, Zephyr didn't lose that many heroes there because K Phoenix couldn't just choose a target. Like, in that position, he was wanting to stay back a little bit. He didn't want to be focused down until the Batrider was gone. So he actually only got, like, I think 3 or 4 Geminates in that fight, which means he wasn't attacking all that much. So if he got a few more crits in there, that could have been just like a 3 or 4 man wipe out from Zephyr, and that would have been guaranteed Roche. But just losing those 2... it's still a contested spot for both sides, and he has the clear vision with that static remnant.
One concern, though, Blaze, is they lost their gem. I believe it was on the Batrider. It used to be on Blitz, but that's a pretty big deal. As they look for the jump in bottom lane, hunting that Ogre. Waiting on the sidelines is only a remnant here from the Storm. And they may look to counter-initiate on this bottom lane. Will Blitz jump? He's got a Hex. He's got a BKB. Perfect time to go in. He BKBs. He stops auto take a creep, then goes back onto Fixers with the Hex, the multicast. They'll secure that kill. A nice pick off on your Wind Ranger. Does have a buyback, but can she get to the Roche Pit in time is the question.
I think as soon as they enter the pit, Wind Ranger's going to buy back and TP in, yeah. As soon as the Illusion sees them making that play, you have to buy back. You can't give the Aegis back to Blitz in this situation.
That will force Zephyr back. Speaking of Zephyr, their buyback stat's still not good. Blitz with that death, and the next Mystic Staff picked up is nowhere near it. I'm not really sure that a Mystic Staff at this point is that valuable to him. I would rather be saving for buyback.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going for the Shivas, and if he had gotten that, that would be really nice. It helps the fact that Weaver still is kind of limited on attack speed even with the Butterfly, but yeah, all in all, it's not the item that he needs right now. Luckily, they do get the Sentry Ward down. Oh, this is really good. A lot of teams at 6.82 aren't really adjusting well enough to the terrain to realize how important this ward spot is, but that plateau is just life.
That plateau that's the perfect way to put it. It is life. It's such a crucial ward spot. And I've seen too many Dire teams just try and, get cute, farm the ancients. Oh, hey, we just showed 4 heroes right here.
Exactly.
Now we're going to walk into the pit. No, that's not going to work. You walk into the pit, they didn't see you walk in, but they know that you just had 4 heroes there, they will punish it. This is Blitz zips in bottom lane. Blitz, play with fire. I mean, if you're going to buy that Mystic Staff, you better respect the fact that you don't have the buyback. And well, he does live, but he almost cost himself his life. If Godot wasn't from Australia, maybe he gets off that lift,
Fair enough, fair enough. The region disadvantage there to some extent. But, yeah, I guess this is an okay time to point out the recent-ish change to Ball Lightning in 6.2, the initial patch. There was a balance change to the Ball Lightning that changed it to be 1 mana cost per 100 units. It used to be a 1% scaling, and now it's a 0.7 scaling. So, barring the static aspect of it, it's a 30% reduction in mana cost of Ball Lightning. And yeah, that is actually a really big deal. And it means that with this big of mana pool, him buying out for this Shivas on top of Scythe, him having this whole mana regen slew, he's able to move across the map very quick and without expending too much mana. Like, he can actually make 2 really good Ball Lightning plays in each fight at the very least.
Flying in, but Blitz able to zip up to the high guard. We'll dodge that. With the Ice Blast down, will be a tougher engagement from here for CSW. Both teams continue their dance. We now hit the 57-minute mark. It's been a slow 57 minutes, Blaze. We can even look at the graph and just see You had like 45 kills, or sorry, not 40, like 30 kills or so, 35 kills in the first, I don't know, 35 minutes, and the last 30, there's been, what, 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 kills.
Two towers there too, so maybe not even hero kills necessarily, but the bottom line is just not a lot of activity. A little bit of push here and there, but this is the dance they've been doing this entire game around this Roach pit. Finally, it looks like it's going down. Blitz not looking for the snipe, and it is finally going to go to one team or another. CsW pick it up on the Wind Ranger.
Yeah, and more importantly, they deny it to that Storm, who did opt to complete his Shivas, won't have a buyback for a long time. Something CsW may not necessarily realize, but they have to know that he's not gotten a ton of kills, so his gold should be fairly limited. And with that, do they look to finally attempt to push this one in? Weaver has the buyback time-lapse at the ready, and he has opted to make the smart play. Okay, Phoenix will get rid of his boots now. He can maybe look to complete this Desolator, but for the base siege, it's the best item to have. Could look at perhaps an Assault Cuirass instead, but he won't hit his heart himself then.
Now he just needs to stash BOTs and 3 Divine Rapiers, and he'll be having everything he needs to go into the hyper late game with his buyback. If you can buy back in the well, transfer those items, and then BOT or time lapse to where you want to be. That's where it's at as far as the.
We'd be entering beyond Mushi territory. Like
exactly.
Mushi thought he was balling out of control at TI3 with his 4 BKBs. Well, you ain't got nothing on K Phoenix with his triple rapier buyback boots of travel status. If he wants that, we're in for a 90-minute game, bare minimum. Let's see if that's what we get. Daedalus now complete on the Viper. One of the most stacked Vipers I've ever seen.
Had to be, though.
Literally 6-slotted. And in credit to Corey, he hasn't died this game. Matches the Animation Apparition, but, well, that's a hero that doesn't really have to engage in fights, so impressive that Corey's managed to stay alive this long.
Yeah, but if Corey wasn't this farmed, the CsW would have run over the base 10-15 minutes ago. Like, they had to have the Viper at this level of farm, but the problem is he's about at critical mass here. Like, there are theoretical ways to progress from this point, but maybe trade out the Mantis Owl for a Mjolnir just for that raw attack speed that you can really benefit from. Since Viper is only 2.5 agi gain. Not bad, but could be better. I don't know. In this position, I wish this was any other hero but Viper, is kind of what I'm thinking. Like, they started off the tri lane strong, they killed off center quite a few times, and Viper was a good hero in his own right, but to first pick him in the draft, and now to be at the 60-minute mark with this hero, if he was anything else, there would be so much potential.
Again, I think a lot of it is, you know, if you want to pick... I think if you want to run a Storm mid, you need a hero like Viper in your safe lane. Especially the way that CsW drafted. Had they picked a greedy safe lane farmer and run the Storm mid,
sure,
this would have been over even sooner, I feel. Like I don't see Corey getting space to farm and turtle up when Blitz is struggling in the mid game. So I agree with you, but I think it just goes back to them wanting to pick this Storm for the team so much. When you want to go for that type of a greedy mid, you need someone that can be your backbone through the mid game. But at this stage, yeah, you'd rather have a hard carry safe lane and perhaps like a Magnus or Dragon Knight, although we don't see him too much lately. Some sort of tempo controlling teamfight initiator type mid.
So in this position, I would have to say Zephyrs have their backs against the wall. I mean, the gold and experience graph, when they say like, yeah, it's 7,000 gold or experience here or there, but really in this position, you have to be looking at this Weaver and thinking, how do we bring this guy down? Because if we don't, our supports are going to get two-shot. Just the way the Geminate's going to work is you have maybe 6 seconds to live on any of your heroes that aren't Viper or probably Storm. I mean, we mentioned
even
Storm.
Viper, like if he gets a double proc crit, you're just you're done.
Yeah, I mean, he does have the butterfly against the MKB. Yeah, I forgot that K Phoenix picked that up after we talked all about the butterfly. Talked up, oh, is this the best choice? It turns out the game goes on for 15-20 more minutes and items are farmed. So, yeah, at this point, like, I don't know. If the crits come out for either side, obviously, RNG can just destroy this. Like, if you get multicast and crits on the Weaver right here, theoretically, the heart doesn't matter. You can still chew right through it, but all the same, I guess in a reliable sense, it's still up in the air. The Weaver is still going to be the one that survives longer, and it's going to be harder to get much out of him. But we saw actually a lot of gold going him. I think he sold a couple items off the courier, but don't know what he intends to do with that 6,700 going out of the secret shop. Are we really seeing the rapier?
I don't even know what you get rid of. I guess a Desolator for a Rapier, but that's pretty risky.
Stupid Butterfly.
There's not really. I mean, what else would you get rid of? The Heart? Oh,
yeah, I think it needs the attack speed from the
double
Butterfly.
Reavers.
Oh?
Huh? Is that a misbuy? Oh, Satanic, no? I guess.
Yeah, Satanic, Scotty Satanic. I was calling it earlier, but that's gonna be the play. I mean, Satanic for now, maybe the Scotty.
I don't know about the Scotty.
Versus your Lincoln Sphere, I think it's just a strict upgrade. Like, obviously, you have to worry about the lasso, but with the 4-staff timing, your Lincoln's going to go. Eventually, you have to... There's a point as a carry where you transition and say, okay, supports, you buy the Lincoln Spheres and put them on me. I'll buy the real items. And
all right, who's buying a Lincoln Sphere on this CSW team, though?
Ancient Person, he's got 2 in the stash. He's been farming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm just saying, in an ideal world, that you don't want this Lincolns to be holding back your Weaver for much longer. It's the same thing with the boots. Like, they provide some strict value on the hero, but you can do away with it long term. And I think that eventually it does need to go to a Scotty.
I'm actually not crazy about the Heart late game either, because it's unlikely to be siege. It's going to be a fight. Yeah. Zephyr are not going to sit there and watch you plink away at their racks for 5 minutes and slowly whittle down the base. They will come and jump you, and that's where it's nice HP, but you can get if you want to. I guess at that point maybe you can replace it with a Scotty, or you just say, if I trust in my supports, I'm just gonna go for another damage item, and that might be where you enter Rapier territory. Corey, smoked up, but CSW playing this one safe. We hit the 64-minute mark. Still either team's game. No, the Weaver is. It's almost a bad thing that there's so much concentrated in him, because you imagine Zephyr without their Viper versus CSW without their Weaver. I actually think Zephyr have the big edge there.
Yeah, but I think that's what K Phoenix's build is about, is giving himself room for error. Getting this much HP on the Weaver, even during a really good lasso, you still have people rushing in. Like, you don't have Blink Daggers on all these heroes. You have 4 staffs, you have the Ball Lightning follow-up. So essentially, Bat Rider and Storm jump in, Zephyr's other 3 lag behind. In the duration of the lasso and then the Ice Vortex, or not Electric Vortex, do you actually get that kill on the Weaver before he can time-lapse, before he can try to jump away?
No, you don't go on Weaver. You have to go on the supports.
Okay, so at this point, like, you think that the effective HP is a liability just because they can ignore him, or?
Yeah, they're not going to go on K Phoenix. He's got buyback time-lapse anyway. The only way they go on him is if he's not near his team. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you jump him and then you've nothing left for round 2 of the fight. I'm not seeing where Zephyr take that.
Yeah, but I don't think CSW are going to put most of these heroes in that position. Like the Blink BKB and Rubik, he's going to be in a reserve position. Ancient Apparition, he can sit in the fountain for all he cares. He just wants to get that Ice Blast out. So yeah, I honestly feel like although they want to ignore K Phoenix, at least for the first half of the fight, and take down a couple supports first, they don't necessarily have the option with him always in their face.
Yeah, that's fair. I wouldn't say there's ever a safe position against the Storm, though.
Sure.
That's the beauty of the hero, is it's not even a one-screen initiation. He's got at least room for like 4 or 5 at this point with his items. But there's a BKB on Rubik, so if he's quick, might struggle to kill him off. We'll have to see if he gets the Hex in time, and we may see another Roshan at this rate. It's going to respawn very soon. Yeah. One of the fastest possible respawns, actually. Not sure if CSW will be ready for this.
I think, though, since there is a limited follow-up, that Blitz is essentially going to have to use all 3 spells on the same target. He has to Electric Vortex because of Stampede defensive play. He has to Hex for the swiftness of it, because there's a BKB on the aforementioned heroes. And then he also has to get the Orchid out for amplified damage. Like, if he's going to go for a solo pickoff, he literally commits all 3 of those big cooldowns. And otherwise, the person gets away through Stampede or otherwise.
Well, until we see a fight, it's purely theory crafting here.
Exactly.
67 minutes in, we've had 44 kills. Meanwhile, the Chinese games I was watching and during the lead up to this one were an absolute bloodbath. So interesting.
Be damned.
Yeah, stereotypes be damned indeed. Blitz is close to that next item if he wants to buy it now. 5.2k gold. Now he's saving for buyback. As Roche has respawned. K Phoenix retreating out together with Godot and Risk, and just waiting for something to get hype about, man.
Dude, this would have been a hell of a game to solo cast, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it would have.
Corey's farming the creep wave. But no, all the same. I mean, there's a lot of cool nuances to the late game here. It's just it's hard to realize it other than a tangible way. Like we talk a lot about positioning, but unless we like are going all Madden style on it and drawing out a make believe team fight, we really can't get to the meat of it without actually seeing it for ourselves.
Why don't we just call it a game? We'll replay takeover and we'll let it happen. Zephyr begging for CSW to take a bad fight.
They're the initiators too. They're the ones with the Bat Rider and the Star Spirit, and they're like, please, let's let something happen, because CSW, they're just always moving together. They don't find an opening despite having the, like you mentioned, multi-screen initiation. They're the ones begging for some aggression.
Well, they are going to start to apply the pressure bottom lane, so they may force that rumble one way or another. Phoenix now with enough gold to buy back and nearly buy a replacement item if he wants. Certainly, if he sells any of these items, he can complete a replacement. So, essentially, he's got buyback and a new item if he wants it. Not sure what he wants to swap out. I guess he's content with the current selection. Maybe considers that rapier at some point, though. That would be a beauty.
Hashtag liability Lincolns. Get rid of that nonsense. Doesn't need it. Do so much work if he just has, like, just Divine Rapiers, Scotties. You've got the buyback. There's the room for error right there. Actually, Risk is actually in a really bad spot. Like, that actually was probably the best opening, but the fact that they have no vision, the ward that gets plopped down is immediately destroyed. But if Risk was picked off there, they can pull him to the high ground. And
they're gonna go. They're gonna pump onto Tootie. The ding, ding, ding comes in. Ogre fighting the first kill of your fight. Finally, action. Fixers next on the list. 2 dead. 100 seconds dead on the Windrunner. And they're gonna lose Phoenix. As the buyback time lapse. 3 down. Double buyback on the other heroes. They're not using that buyback yet. Is he gonna time lapse it? He's Sakuchiing out to the fight. And meanwhile, his teammates are dying all around him. Godot on the way out. Ayusin pumping out the damage with those auto attacks. Phoenix. I'm not sure about that buyback. Buybacks and then just Sakuchi in. Well, I guess he wants to group up with his team now. Shackle Shot will come through. 2-2. And Fixers, well, duking it out a bit. But the Ogre force-staffed once. He has another. Can't get it off in time. Will end up falling. And now, time for a dire buyback status check. There is one on the Storm. There is one on the Bat and the Viper. But both are still alive. So they'll be without the Ogre for this Roche fight. Whereas Ice Blast can join. Storm buying back instantly, TPing outside the base, the Roche dropping quickly. Are there inventory slots for CSW? This is a concern. Phoenix won't be able to grab this one. They almost got flame breaked up onto the high ground. They'll throw out the swarm as Corey jumps in. Blitz going for the big Aegis snipe. Can he claim it? He's too early. Roche not low. He's helping them to Roche. He zips, doesn't get out of the pit. Now he gets past the ancient apparition. All connects. They get the Aegis as well. They kill off the Viper. Corey's first death of the game comes crashing in at 70 minutes. And they'll be forced to buy back instantly. Aegis onto your Wind Ranger. The cheese onto Tootie. I'm not sure if you really call that a coup overall.
You get nothing. Good day, sir.
They did have to buy back all their cores. As a triple core buy. Actually, a quadruple team buyback. Triple core. And, well, for the Dire side, the Bat Rider being a core is a real stretch of the term at this point. So, I guess it's an even trade in that regard. And then you're just looking at CSW with Aegis Cheese going their way. Give them a win for that one, Blaze.
Yeah, that's the big thing here, is the winner is just going to get a lot of value out of the Aegis. She doesn't really use her mana pool in full, but all the same, she's able to do some good damage consistently. So, I mean, there's some real value in it. And not really progressing item-wise. Might be selling the bottle here to pick up something new. Demon Edge is going to be coming out, and it looks like she wants an MKB to play with.
Obviously
as well.
A rapier. Obviously that base race rapier.
Definitely. Actually, we're gonna see a BKB come out. Why do you have a Lincoln Sphere and a BKB? Like, I understand you can keep yourself safe from the lasso, but you talked about this many times. Weaver's a hero that you ignore for the first half of the fight right now. Like, they kill off a hero or two, then they go on the Weaver, and I guess he just wants to be literally immortal with this kind of item progression, but he has Lincoln's and 10-second BKB. And he ends up benching the Heart. I mean, I guess it's trade-off survivability item for survivability item, and the reason he did go for the BKB here is because the Halberd on the Venge, but I don't know. I just think it's fair. It's frustrating me that he doesn't just have somebody else putting it on him. I mean, the Wind Ranger could be Lincolnsing him, the Weaver could have another item slot, but he's going for this He just doesn't want to be disabled in any capacity, essentially.
Speaking of benching items, Corey has benched his own BKB. He's tried it. He's tired of it. And he goes for the Assault Caress instead. He puts that one back in the Courier, and meanwhile...
That thing's busted. It's no good anymore.
Yeah, this is a beaten up and bullied BKB. Whereas Blitz he'll try to accelerate his respawn timers now with the late game Bloodstone, but it's a 73-minute Bloodstone, and there's hardly been any fights for 40 minutes. I mean, look at this graph. How many of these are even kills? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's a tower. That's a tower. 5, 6, 7, 8. There's been 10 kills, and what is that? That's like the 40-minute mark. In 33 minutes. What does a Bloodstone offer you at this point? Like, that couple of seconds off your respawn timer when you're level 25 at 73 minutes ain't gonna cut it, man. I like Bloodstone on Storm a lot. I just... I don't think you get it here.
It's the hyper late game pickup. When we're going 173 minutes.
Next level play. Anticipating that 1,000-minute game. Blitz.
Blitz
caught out top lane. Oh, no! Destruction. He's got his Bloodstone, though. He's lost 3 charges here, but he'll respawn that much quicker, Blaze.
Oh,
and that's and I guess to be fair, there's also the buyback. Extra death timer to consider, but it doesn't make up for that, man. It's still way too much. In good news for Zephyr, the creeps are marching in, and they're doing their best with Slicks to stall this push mid. Yeah.
Using Ignite to counter push here is nice because the backdoor production is going to stay up for the side of Zephyr, but it does risk X-Freedom's life here. He might go down. Godot getting in range, the Stampede, the blink forward, and the TK.
Turn around for that easy quadruple multi-cast of Godot. Come on, X-Freedom. No, instead he'll get a little help from a friend and force Steph back to safety. A lot of commitment there from CsW, just in terms of its precious death seconds for the Storm, with no buyback opportunity. And none won't have one for some time, but they're still going to make their way to the high ground. They'll have at least 10 seconds to bang away on the... it's still not even a late of Rex, Blaze. Nothing's actually been taken down. The tier 3 died mid, but there's no actual Rex claimed. 75 minutes in. This one, I wouldn't use that AC phrase of barn burner, but it's been a slow burner. That's for damn sure. A slow cooker of a game, if you will. And still no commitment.
Yeah, I think both teams are a little impatient right now, but I think CsW are allowed to be a little bit more impatient at this stage because they're able to siege better. They're able to go in with K-Phoenix, and barring the worst case scenario of like a swap into the fountain, he's going to be okay in most of these fights. Like, obviously we saw how quickly he could go down with how they were able to control him in the last fight, but there were also a lot of other factors there. Like the risk didn't even hit the Ice Blast on anybody but Corey, who didn't even die there. So like I gotta say the backline was what was able to win the fight that happened before the Rush pit, more so than the carries themselves.
This Weaver has 41k net worth. We've actually hit that territory. And they're gonna jump in. I guess they're baiting X-Freedom. The trap is sprung, and they'll look to engage onto wrist, blitz, pop beta Shivas, focusing that HF Bridge, and Ice Blast already used as they lasso K-Phoenix, but lasso broken. I believe that was a stolen swap from Godot. It was. And K-Phoenix unable to find a target to focus. Blitz stunned now. They can't afford to lose him. Still a minute on buyback. Cooldown doesn't have the gold for it anyway. That great bait. Ogre, the least valuable man on this team. They end up wiping the floor with 3, looking for a 4th. And the Bug will retreat. They also blew a cheese in that fight. Aegis down the drain. An absolute train wreck for CsW, who looked like they were on the verge of taking this one. That looked like it's like, hey, what are you doing, X-Freedom? Oh, wait, the last time you were here, it would have been a feed, but this time, tactical bait. And the turn comes now.
Yeah. The Weaver's just doing no damage in these fights, like, by comparison. Obviously, like, if this was a 30-minute game, he'd be doing insane amounts of damage, but only getting 1 or 2 crits there, Core was just able to lay into him and go 100% 1v1 because Weaver's playing so defensive. He's so worried about getting a 1v forward that he can't go 1v1 because he doesn't have any damage here. He swaps out the BKB for the heart while it's on cooldown, but in the end, the lasso still came through against the Weaver, and that gave them the DPS advantage that Zephyr really needed. We're going to see the Wind Ranger unable to come back into this fight. The Ancient Apparition, however, will be right back up.
Double gems, balling out of control is Slicks. And everybody looks to defend now, except for the Wind Ranger. She's still dead for a long time. Buyback, not available for 1,500 gold. Nobody else close aside from the Viper of Corey, who will have his in 10 seconds. So they have 2 Vipers for this fight. There are 2 Weavers available as well. And K Phoenix still holding on to those same items, which I'm with you, man. I'm definitely not a fan of the BKB Lakens at this point. I think you either go for more damage or just for more pure sustain, but they get a great initiation. K Phoenix ran away during this time. Corey gonna drop quickly. Aeson next. Could he swap out? Nope. He swapped in to save a buddy, and he'll end up falling.
Chop, chop.
Oh, the throws, if you want to call them that. The turns, for sure, go back the other way. I guess a throw implies someone has a clear lead, which there hasn't been a clear lead in this game ever.
I mean, just looking at the draft, I have to say CSW should be able to do so much, but these lassos have been really on point from Slicks at this tail end of the game, and obviously there's been no clear territory that either side can control. The gems all across the battlefield make it so that the Radiant side is as dangerous as the Dire for both teams. They're going to check for the early Roche spawn. I didn't catch the analog timer here, so we'll have to wait for the time here to tick over, but since I see it's not in the pit, they're just going to make their move forward. Secret Chop is covered. 2.5 minutes again on Roche. That in of itself is delaying this game.
All right, that's cool, man. Let's hit that 80-minute threshold. We're closing in on 100, and I also want to mention, before I forget, Blitz got those 3 Bloodstone charges back in the last fight plays, so
nice.
This is where, perhaps, he is angling for the 120-minute game, and then the Bloodstone will pay for itself. At that point, you're also going to have buyback as well, so that is something to consider, is maybe 2 lives in the next upcoming fight, but for now, it's CSW who might just feel like they have better things to do than wait to see how this game develops. That's a heart back in the stash. Now, yeah, K Phoenix just sitting on a casual.
Well, they have vision. They have this Observer Ward.
Oh, good looking for the jump in. Now Blitz out in front. Everybody from Zephyr hot to trot. No BKB, but he's 4-step. Can he get it off in time? Blitz will BKB. Then he's swapped back out by Aeson. He zips in. Focusing on fixers. K Phoenix pretty damn strong for now, though. Pumping in a lot of damage on the Corey. He'll finish him off. The multicast 2 times. They lost Blitz. No buyback for 180 gold. Weaver rejoining the fight, and now there's no carry for Zephyr. There is a carry in the form of K Phoenix for the Radiant. CSW looking to finish this one off now. They'll shackle us and they'll bring him down too. It's 3 that have fallen. Buyback status on the Dire is Dire. Only the Ogre. It's over. It's all Ogre, man. It really is. They've got no Storm, no Viper. This is GG.
Oh my gosh, after 80 fucking minutes, it's GG. K Phoenix able to get that buyback time lapse there. Corey making the critical error at the top of the steps on the bottom tier 3. This fight, he had to go down. They just put too much into him. But the last one, I got to question whether or not it was worth it to really go for that tier 3 push on bottom lane. They didn't have a clear advantage. They forced the issue, and in the end, it's the ones that's engage in passivity to win. They were the ones that kind of kept that stalemate going. They were the ones to play very passively defensively, but in the end, they didn't risk anything by it. And some great steals by Godot. I mean, Rubik with the lasso plays. Are we still going? I mean, that's 1 lane of racks, but this is already 80 minutes. Like, we have heroes that can deal with 1 lane of racks. Are they not going for more? Oh, come on.
I don't know if they realize the Viper still doesn't have buyback. Maybe they're thinking they could just take Roche.
He bought back 2 minutes ago. I mean, there's no way that he does. They increased the buyback.
Oh, no, I know. It's been a long game, Blaze. It's 81 minutes. Maybe they're losing
scrambles.
Focus.
Brains equals scrambled. I don't know. This is...
Well, or perhaps they just want the Roche, whose Slam is starting to really pack a punch. Fixer's lost a decent chunk of his damage. There's no limit on how big this Slam can get. At some point, maybe we'll see 10 heroes die to a Slam. It could happen, man. You never know. Blitz towards the bottom lane. Does he even think about an Aegis steal? Does he have the cojones for this? He doesn't buy back. Aegis picked up by the Wind Ranger. Cheese snapped up by... by the Risk on the Ancient Apparition. And now they'll retreat. If they really want to play this safe, they could wait for everyone has buyback. So if that's the case, Weaver, 5 minutes and counting. It's actually kind of a big deal, because he doesn't have Aegis. Cheese is not worth giving up a 6 item at this point. Maybe they do wait 5 minutes. Just sit in the base. Like, you don't need items anymore. No reason to leave. There's no Roche.
Yeah. So, obviously, 6.82, we're already seeing some really long games. Games are drawn out because of the back-and-forth nature of the game. Games are drawn out a lot longer than they used to be. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a fact. But with the increase of buyback, cooldown. Do you think that actually drags it out further? Because obviously this is a position where CSW, they'd be active in 3 minutes, but now they're going to be active in 4. Do you think that's another artificial game duration enhancer?
It can be. I feel like it can go either way, right? On the one hand, maybe you blow a buyback, then you die again, and it's just flat out GG.
Exactly.
On the other hand, maybe you just play it safer when you have a lead to ensure you have the extra buyback. So I think it can go either way.
So we'll note that there is a Batrider in the Radiant base right now. That's pretty important. But also Diffusal Blade up on the Ogre, so he can dispel the Hex coming out from Wind Ranger if the timing is right. We'll see if they're able to do it when it really counts. As Corey needs to stay up here. They want to push it while the buyback is not available.
Looking for a lasso initiation, and they're going to jump in now. BKBs all pop. They focus on K Phoenix. They lasso him up as well. This Weaver will be dead for a very long time if he gets picked off, but he won't. He Satanics, he BKBs, and he stands his ground. They need some big multicast now. They're not going to have much to do with the Weaver, who focuses on Aeson. The Venge will fall. The Storm's already down, and the route is on. Chase forward onto the Ogre. He's got that Diffusal Blade. No teleport. He'll drop a gem here. Not that it matters. You don't need to get Vision of Heroes when you're killing their throne. 22, not 322. X-Freedom running now to the left, doing anything he can to stall his Kodot. Well, he's fake clubbing. X-Freedom knows it's over for him anyway. Gem hits the deck. It's now a double gem, I believe, for the Radiant. Oh no, a 1-for-1 gem. And let's see, do we just go back the other way and try to win this one? Blitz does have buyback. Ogre, so. Dead for 75. If they don't go mid now, I don't think they'll actually get to the base too long before the Ogre respawns. Are they just gonna... They should be going mid.
Right now, Vengeance Aura is going to be a little bit annoying because it's on the Weaver, who has probably the most base damage right now, so it is going to be a limiting factor for them to make anything like that happen. And they're not actually going all mid right now. They pick up the Illusion Rune. I guess that's pretty nice for a hero like him, but just emanates that Vengeance Aura even further. Anyways, he'll be back up in 18 seconds, and that will go away. But, yeah, the big deal is that Corey didn't die. If Corey dies there, then it is GG. And the call that we made early wasn't too early, but... yeah, in this situation, at least he's alive, and they will have 4 men to hold the high ground here.
84.5 minutes in, K Phoenix getting aggressive on the high ground. His buyback time lapse still won't be ready for 2 minutes. So should they manage to take down that Weaver cleanly, they could still turn this one around. They have a buyback ready to go on the Viper now, and they're going to look to engage, but already... they've lost their racks, and they jump in with Blitz. Stampede popped immediately, but a pull Godot back in. K Phoenix standing strong in this fight for the time being. Pops the BKB and just goes to work, chopping wood on Zephyr. They lose Blitz again. This time, no buyback for 15 gold. He's just a bit short. They'll lose their Wind Ranger on the way out. Again, the stolen lasso. As the Rubik looks to retreat out, along with his buddies. K Phoenix slowed down, but able to Sakuchi away to freedom. And Zephyr not really getting much. There are creeps towards the base now. Do they just commit to something? They've got all 3 cores with buyback. How many of Boots of Travel? 2. Blitz still dead for 50 though. So if he dies back, then he'll be out of the game for a very long time.
Exactly, especially when his Bloodstone is almost down to 0 charges at this point. But yeah, I don't think they can force the issue in the minute frame that the Weaver still doesn't have buyback. So 6.82C not helping Zephyr here. But, yeah, I don't know. In this position, one of the big things that I have to say is that Godot really helped his team fight just by stealing Bloodlust.
I like this. I like this from K Phoenix. He's picked up a refresher. I mean, why the hell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, refresh that Satanic, refresh your Liquid Sphere, and, of course, refresh your Time Lapse. This could actually be a nice pickup for him.
And it's, put it on the courier.
It's just always it's one of those always good 7-slotted items on pretty much any hero.
Exactly.
There's always something worth refreshing.
And BKB too, as well. It's down to 5 seconds. Has been a long game.
Hey, come on, man. He swapped that one off a while ago. He's back with the heart now.
Yeah, but I mean, 10 seconds on BKB if you refresh it. So I mean, there's merit to it, I suppose. But no matter the case, heart is obviously a very powerful item in this situation. So yeah, the courier refresher, he'll keep it in the trees, and hopefully it will be safe there. But I think maybe this, Dire Observer Ward should have scouted it, but they probably didn't get the time to click the courier as it was going by, so they don't know its purpose just yet. Anyways, yeah, the one cool thing is Rubik stole Bloodlust and the Clash down bottom, so they were able to push with that, and that really helped. And then, as you mentioned, he's got Lasso. So he initiates with Blink BKB, 4-staff somebody out with his Lasso, and can do a lot of work in the fight. The only thing I'm not too crazy about is the Shivas instead of picking up a Lincoln Sphere, but I've already done that one to death over this 87-minute game, so... we'll see this push in.
And Blitz is going the wrong direction. Straight down with the Bloodstone charges, man. He's down to 2. Yeah. Hardly getting any benefit from this item, and I just really question picking this up at 70 minutes. You know? If maybe had he gone for it before the Shivas, but I think the Shivas was a solid choice. You're up against so much physical damage. That's what's going to kill you while you're hexed. Well, the Bloodlust now. Zephyr just going to keep on trying to beat their way in the bottom lane. Weaver buyback now online. There's actually 4 buybacks up on the Radiant side. They'll zip in, focusing on Tootie, and they'll look to bring him down first. The lasso going onto the Wind Ranger and try to kill him off, but she's kept alive for the time being, and well, now Ace in trouble. The Ogre getting off the stuns of Kate Phoenix doesn't finish him off. Those time lapses! Oh, so close, so far. They lose their Centaur, but he buys back to rejoin the fray. The Viper also dying and buying back, but what will he accomplish? Blitz, dead now. And this time, for 50 gold, which means at least 30 seconds. Well, actually, a bit less than that now. But their base is hollowed out. They've lost 2 lanes of Rex.
Yeah, they can't lose anymore.
They gotta win a clean fight very soon.
The Divine Rapier, the Desperate Rapier coming in from Corey. He just needs something. He actually sells the Manta because
he's
it won't
so squishy now, though, dude. He's so...
Oh, no, I don't think it's gonna work. I'm just saying it's at least shiny. It is very, very shiny to see. On a Viper, no less. Like, we were talking 50 minutes in the game. This is the most farmed Viper you'll ever see, but yeah, we're 88 minutes in. You gotta go for the gold, and yeah, we'll see what it amounts to him. No, he's even dropping his BOTs. Like, at this point, mobility means nothing. It's all about the raw stand and deliver right clicks. He's the siege tank here.
It feels like too little, too late, but you never know, I suppose. SK Phoenix will make his way up the hill. Still has a second life to go if he needs it in this engagement. They'll force out the storm. Oh, come on, CsW! Come on already! Alright, they're gonna play it safe.
Oh, it's fake back. They got a smoke. What are they gonna do with it?
Courier.
Please be something aggressive.
Don't reveal your fake back with the courier though. It is daytime here. They'll keep it in the trees for now. K Phoenix can go back to this refueling station if he needs. Would like to see some salves maybe on this courier, you know, just to like the casual. Do they even have a mech anymore? Might want to just buy one to put something on there.
Oh, it's on the Centaur still.
Okay.
You know, get that armor value.
How about a pipe on the courier? I kind of like something like that could be, or a Crimson Guard even. You know, just swap those in real quick, pop the pipe, then go high ground. It's a lot of nuke damage.
It's way too short, dude. But
yeah,
here we see
pipe
jump.
Work. Shackle in to start. Corey caught out. Where's your rapier now, my friend? Swapped out by Ice and kept alive for a time as they try to focus Fixers down, but they're just ignoring K Phoenix. Not sure if they can afford to do that. He's thinking about a chase in. So far, they've lost their Wind Ranger, who does have a buyback ready if need be. Everyone from Zephyr retreats out, but they end up shattering. They'll lose their Bat Rider to the Ancient Apparition Ultimate. And with that, he also has buyback. This will be the final buyback on anybody on Zephyr for 1,300 gold, if he uses it. Not going to use it just yet. Yeah, he'll use it now, or 5 minutes. So this is pretty much it.
Just refreshed, by the way. So he's got his time lapse, he's got Satanic, he's even got the 5-second BKB, but it gets 4-staffed in.
2 times multicast, not nearly enough. Lasso still going down for 20. They get a 4 times, though. That might do it. K Phoenix, that's a volley, but he has buyback time left in. He's going to rejoin the fray. Focusing on Corey now, and they have no control for him aside from that Ogre. With the BKB, K Phoenix is okay. Need those multis to come through soon. Storm trying to retreat out as Centaur in heavy pursuit. Blinks on in, gets the stomp, double-edge combination gaming, then the shackle fixers looking to secure a 91-minute GG and keep the undefeated streak alive. It's a rapier planted in front of the throne, and it will be a win here. A full 5-man wipe and then some. CsW 4-0 in the Summit 2 Southeast Asia, but goddamn if Zephyr didn't make them work for it.
Oh boy. 91 minutes. That's just, I mean, how can you even plan for that in this best of one? Like, I'm sure we're crazily behind schedule, so I'll keep it short. We've talked a bunch about this game, but yeah, it was a hell of a pleasure to cast it with you, man. And yeah, can't say whips. They can go the distance. If they're at the very least patient, they're very consistent, they're very willing to avoid the throws, and the throws aren't real here. An hour and a half long. Holy crap.
And, well, an hour and a half, all that struggle. Still just a 1 win for CsW, 1 loss for Zephyr. Guys, with that is our only game for Southeast Asia today. We have China ongoing. Actually, it might be at a break now, but it will be coming back with Coddle Guy and Zari bringing you those games. The final 2 games for the day will be Vici Gaming versus IG and Lie Gaming versus Vici Gaming. That's on twitch.tv/BeyondTheSummit. As for myself, I will return for Tinker versus BBC and Alliance versus BBC on this same stream in approximately 2.5 hours. And then following that, 4 more games, most likely back on the main stream. I believe Merlini will join me for all of those if he's awake by then, which hopefully he should be. But yeah, we're getting set for European time zones. His Star Ladder, it's coming soon. We'll be traveling out there. Well, for now, guys, thanks for watching the Summit 2. CA, that wraps it up. Congratulations to CsW. 4-0.